It's all good. I accidentally clicked start game, but it should be better now. I think. Oops, I keep touching my emote wall. Wrong. There you go. Nah. Load. There you go. Nani? Alright. So, apparently they had lunch. Anyways, lunch ended, and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. Anyways, please tap escape if you need a summary of who died. Okay. Well, I think I remember who died. I remember Rudolph died, the lady died, Maria died. Not Maria, sorry. Maria's Rose. Rose died. Or was it Rosa? Was her name Rosa or Rose? I forgot. I know there was more, but I'll pretend I don't know. I don't. Shot. Was this copy? Okay. At first, it seemed as though Nazi planned to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room. I forgot whose voice I gave what. I remember I gave them all weird voices, but I forgot who it was. But anyways, when it came to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. Oh, never mind. Sorry for bothering. It okay. I pop you. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the three servants to go together. Should I turn up the volume a little bit so you guys can hear it? Can you guys hear the thingy? Oh, sorry for like the mouse. Y'all see like the mouse at the back over there. I'm screaming. Yeah, y'all gonna see the crazy mouse in the back. I'm sorry. Y'all? Okay. Oh yeah, okay, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Shannon died, Goda died, Rosa died, Rudolph died, Kyrie died, and then Cross. So, yeah. What do I do now? Yeah. So it's just let me do how many fucking people later? Okay, I see. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing most of us from eating much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence.
I will wash the dishes so you can rest a while, Genji-san.
I kind of remember a little bit of their voices now. I'm starting to kind of get the feel of it again.
Do you want something to drink? I don't need anything. Can I?
I forgot what voice I gave him too. I don't need anything either. I think I gave him a British accent. I don't remember Cannon's voice, but I did remember Genji's because his was funny. I think I gave him British, but I don't remember, so I don't need anything either. I'm sorry.
You two must have been so busy and so early in the morning. It's no wonder you're worn out.
I haven't done voices in a long time, so I'm sorry if it sounds kind of weird. The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Cannon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean that they couldn't let it show in front of their relatives, because their furniture. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Cannon opened his mouth and muttered, Shannon, why did she have to die in such a horrible way?
Forget about the manner of her death. Nothing more than bad luck.
You're right. It was nothing more than bad luck. They both fell silent once again. Cannon's expression was filled with grief. I don't know who's saying this, so to think that Shannon-chan's actually dead, I still can't believe it. Poor thing. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. I just wanted to see her smiling face one more time. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. Okay. Oh, Kumasawa? Am I late with that? Gomen. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Cannon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further. Why did Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon? If she wanted a sacrifice, there were plenty of others to choose from. Why?
There was nothing more than bad luck. If we were less lucky, you or I might have been lying out there instead of Shannon. It could have been someone else entirely. Everything is left to fate.
He's got Elmo voice. Genji-sama. You said the door to Madam's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right? The same substance that was painted on the shutter? Nah, it just came in after you were done reading. But yeah, I just figured only because Kumasawa refers to Shannon donally and Cannon calls Shannon as Nechan. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Indeed, it was an unsettling mark. Almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull out the doorknob. Now scratch through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark.
So does this mean Beatrice-sama came to visit Madam's room and tried to open the door, but couldn't? Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room. With the substances sticking to the door around the doorknob, the marks of something scratching against the door, it had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door, but couldn't. How? Did the madam avoid being chosen as a sacrifice? If only she had been chosen, Shannon wouldn't have had to die. Bro, come on! Like, everybody deserves to live in this, come on. Oh, just then a loud, sharp noise came in from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised. Le gasp! That's a pretty interesting chat you're having there. Let me join in too. Before any of the servants realized it, Badler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen. Badler-sama, how rude of us. To be fair, Cannon hates Natsuhi. Oh, that feel when. Yeah, I don't know why, but I guess I'll learn eventually. Genji-san and Cannon-kun stood up, surprised, and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion. I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they let me go. I thought I'd suffocate if I was locked up in that room any longer. I was about to come ask you guys for some water, but then I overheard something pretty interesting. You don't need to bow your heads or anything. Please, let me hear the rest. That just now wasn't really... I've been listening to you for a while. Don't try to hide it now. So I'll ask directly. Who is this Beatrice? She's supposed to be a witch from a kid's story, but it doesn't look that way now. Cannon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Last night, this would have been none of my business. But after this morning, everything's changed. Now that Dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business. I have the right to listen to this suspicious story, don't I? I glared into Cannon's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Cannon had to stand on his toes and looked like it hurt a bit. Gay! Gay! Gay!
Badler-san, please let go of him. Cannon's son isn't really hiding anything.
Then you won't have any problem talking about it, right? It's lonely being out of the loop, you know? When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he'd made up his mind to do something. Apparently, he had no intention of hiding it.
I can tell you about it. Cannon only hesitated because he might have taken it badly, Badler-sama.
Hesitating, huh? Not very manly of you. Whatever it is you're talking about, It's even more unpleasant having to keep it a secret. Having it kept a secret, sorry. Tell me about it. It's not like we have anything better to do before tomorrow comes. A slightly spooky story might be the best way to avoid getting bored. Genji-san and Kanon-kun looked at each other, then nodded as though they decided to talk. Understood. Please ask us anything. We will talk. Right. Then I'll ask. Who in the world is Beatrice? All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rokunjima. I've heard it's a story grandmother or someone invented to keep people out of the dangerous forest. Is that wrong? No, it isn't wrong. It's as you say. Beatrice is a witch who dwells in the forest of Rokunjima.
Beatrice-sama, I didn't expect you to believe this all of a sudden, but Beatrice-sama exists. She is a real person, the one who gave Master the vast amount of gold and who worked by his side for many years.
Huh? Oh, come on. Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says? I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji-san nor Kanon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa Bachan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered as she started washing the dishes. So, unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully, bitterly. I see. That's why Genji-san refused to mention it. If you really mean it, of course I'd take it badly. So, you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists?
Yes. She has been working for the Master since before the mansion was built on this island. She has most likely been working for him even longer than I have.
What do you know? Well, what do you know? Kairi-san's theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice. Is that person on the island now? Yes. I believe that she is here. That's a vague way to say it. I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday. That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but, Kanon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. Come on, don't just stop there. That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right? I urged him on jokingly again. However, it looked like Kanon was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa Bachan whispered, I don't know.
You cannot see her face because Beatrice-sama has no form.
She has no... What did you say?
Beatrice-sama has no body. Therefore,
I'm laughing because I can tell this is somewhat serious, but the Elmo voice, man.
Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form.
I'm sorry, it's so weird. Anyways.
I have heard that the portrait shows what Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form. It seems he yearned for that figure so much he would often stand in front of that portrait.
Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in the mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them. It is whispered that you will meet with disaster if you do. In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury. Wait a sec. Are you kidding me? Are you all serious about this?
Beatrice-sama, Beatrice-sama has already arrived. Such language may be unwise.
Beatrice-sama does not like it when she is profaned. If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet with disaster.
Atlas-san, you probably find this topic unpleasant. But you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist.
She exists. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that.
Can't you tell, Batla-sama? Beatrice-sama has already arrived here. Come on, quit it. I'm weak against that stuff. Enough with the cheap threats. However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast.
Batla-san, I beg that you stop profaning Beatrice-sama. Please trust me.
Kumasawa's Bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face. Well, even if you say she exists, I don't see anything. Are you trying to say she's standing right next to me or something? Quit joking around. Key! I don't know. Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. I know I gave Natsuhi, I don't know what kind of voice to give her still. When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance, but her expression and the feeling about her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants. If I remember, if she's still in the body of Maria, I'm still gonna give her Maria's voice. So, that's what I'm gonna do until I actually find a voice for her.
Whether your wavelength matches or not is not determined at birth. Sadler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. That's why you can't see her. Oh. That's why you can't meet with her. And that's why you can't talk to her.
Nah, that's just a straight up story. Maria's just a witch otaku. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank goodness. If she's still in... Oh, sorry. I accidentally pressed space. But yeah, I'm just saying if she's in Maria's body, I will read it in Maria's voice. But if she's separate, I still have to... I might have to give Natsuhi a different voice. So that way I can give Beatrice the British voice. Because I think she'd probably match that. Or I could give her, like, I don't know, a German... I don't know. Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
Do you want to know about Beatrice? Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold. Grandfather built up all the vast wealth of the Ishiromiya family by making a contract with her.
I haven't done this voice in a long time, so forgive me if it sounds weird.
Yesterday, I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I? That was real. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense.
I don't know what kind of laugh to do for that. What are you talking about? Witches? Demons? Who told you about that?
I heard it from Beatrice herself.
Vito is someone who looks super cool and regal, but she's actually a brat and tsundere, and behind that she actually has depression. Oh, that feel win, Beatrice. I feel Beatrice though, about being like tsundere and like bratty, but also depressed. Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. Well, yeah, I'll continue doing I think it's funny. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. She heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice as though this was nothing more or less than the truth. Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time, okay? Who gave you that letter yesterday?
I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand? You don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you?
They're just way too used to Maria's bullshit at this point. That feel win. Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
Battler, you still don't understand? Beatrice-sama exists.
She exists, you say? But where?
Like I said, Beatrice-sama exists here.
That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now that the servants' eyes haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I'd figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking at a spot right behind me. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if there was someone there.
Beatrice is the mighty golden witch who has lived here for 1,000 years. But since she can't show her form to humans of the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? That's really sad. It means she truly despises it when people like you, who were born without a fragment of the ability needed to sense magic, denies that she exists. I can't read. Come in. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatrice would have put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler.
Okay, this just makes me wonder why she's doing that laugh. Don't mind me still lurking. It's alright, Rosa. Feel free to lurk. I'm just happy you're here. Wah, wah, wah. Big pap pap. You do you, fam. Thank you so much for chilling here. I popped the pop pop. Oh, that scorpion keychain. I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but you were saying, are you saying that it really had some power?
If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in that storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now.
It's so weird doing that laugh.
You're so lucky, Battler.
It's so weird doing the laugh. I see. So, if it weren't for that, I'd have been killed by now.
Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? Even though she exists. Right now, over there. Look! Hey, I'll bet you want to believe it now. Believe it.
Believe it! Believe it!
And thank me for giving you that show.
Naruto moment.
If it weren't for that, you'd be in the storehouse right now. But then maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right?
Poof. Right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over. Then it's all useless, isn't it, Maria? If that's true, then I'm sorry, but it's all useless. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it would be pleasant for her. I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but... Well, I thought I'd put that charm you gave me in my pocket, but I must have dropped it somewhere. So the charm can't be the only reason I'm alive now, and even though I should have been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine. Sorry, but I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes. Sixth senses? Wavelengths? Magic sensitivity? Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off. I don't know how much grandfather is paying you, but if you're trying to talk me into joining some cult, believe me, you won't be able to do it that easily. Battler-sama. You guys are free to believe whatever you want. However, when it comes to the things I believe, I think I'm reading it wrong because I thought it was canon, but I think it's Battler that's reading it. But also it lagged a bit. Did y'all see the lag? Anyways, it's all on me. Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen her with my own eyes. Peas. I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then Maria started cackling again. Yeah, that lag. That lag, though.
Well, that's just fine, isn't it? Eventually, even people like you with totally mismatched wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice. Very soon, she will revive. Beatrice will revive. Once that happens, she promised to talk with me to... I can't bleed. Once that happens, she promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. There will be absolutely no need for you to doubt or for us to force you to believe. She will appear very soon.
Oh boy, oh jeez. After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom while others prefer to relax for a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. In the end, Aunt Natsu reluctantly retracted her order that everyone remain packed into the parlor. I can give her the Asian voice. Can I give her the Asian voice? Because you said that she's very Asian, right? Like she knows more Japanese, and I don't want to make it seem like it's awful, but I can give her more Asian accent if you'd like. So that way I can give Beatrice the British accent, but I don't know if that's going to help anything. So, because it'd be weird if I gave Beatrice the Asian accent, right? Yeah, she wasn't from a traditional Japanese family. Well, okay. So I'm going to try. I got to remember. Yeah. I gotta give her like the Vietnamese one. Does it sound like this? Does it sound like this? I do the high one. It sound like this. Okay. She gonna sound like this. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. In any case, it's okay because I'm Asian. Okay, you guys, please do not be offended. It's okay. So, in any case, if 11 people are shut up in the same room starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. Okay. However, I can't read. However, it was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion, so no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared of standing there, isolated, and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do not like doing what they're told. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor just as Aunt Natsuhi had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, "Ooh." What in the world happened back there? I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing behind me, invisible. However, it felt like I'd glimpsed a little of that presence inside Maria.
You're right. When Maria starts talking about witches, her personality changes. Battler-kun, you also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right?
You mean that scorpion keychain? No, I don't mean like when her feelings were hurt. I'm talking about her having a dual personality or something.
Yeah, that happens sometimes too. That thing Maria did when she was talking about the magic circle does happen every now and then. It's freaky though.
Apparently Jessica had spotted that key Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment and was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time. So what is that? Does Maria have a dual personality or something? Or are you saying that her spiritual sense really is that strong and she's being possessed by a spirit or whatever?
No, I don't think it's that. Haven't you ever experienced it? When you were small, didn't you ever want to be someone other than yourself?
When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. They want to be different from other people. But since everyone else in the class is learning the same things at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. All the time, George! Once they realize that, the first thing they do is start breaking the rules in what's called their rebellious stage. Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves, if you look at it this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all of this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Aniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard.
Oh, I'm just a small little goblin.
Okay, sorry. Well, that was when I was at the age where you try to show off for the opposite sex.
The main feature of the growing period lies in an impulse to break away from your life as a kid, like a chick trying to crack open the shell of their egg. Do you know what makes children and adults different?
Age? Or do you mean size?
No, it's experience. Adults can look down on children because children have very little life experience. The reason they snort out everything children say is because they think kids know nothing about the real world.
Yeah, I understand that. When you're when you're a kid, you talk like you've got life all figured out somehow, trying to act like an adult. No matter what kids say, adults just snort at them and say they're too naive, or they'll understand when they get older or something.
Coughs. Badler's still like that, to be honest. Coughs. He still tries to look cool and show off for the opposite sex. Oh man.
Well, it's probably true, but to a kid, it's just annoying. Like they're being looked down upon.
I get it. It's a question of knowledge and experience. Well, I guess you're right that there's no reason to respect a person for their age if they're just if they've just wasted their lives. I cannot read. Therefore, during the period when they try to separate themselves from other children, they also try to take on personality traits from different. I can't read. They also try to take on personality traits different from those around them. And if knowledge and experiences separates kids and adults, I get it. If they know something no one else knows, it becomes part of their identity.
You know, when I was in elementary school, I'd learn things no one else knew, get things no one else had, wear things no one else wore, and became a bit of a hero for it. I'll bet you've done the same thing, Badler.
Yeah. There was definitely an age when I wanted to excel in some skill or other. I see. So that's because I was trying to separate myself from being a child, or going through my own growing period, in other words.
If you put a positive spin on it, the growing period forces you to separate yourself from others. Okay. I froze space and then I thought that I fucked up. But thank goodness it didn't switch over. Anyways, thereby pushing you to gain skills and knowledge no one else has. This is also interesting from a sociological standpoint, because people hate being like everyone else. They try to learn skills other people don't know. In this way, society can acquire the broad range of skills it needs to survive. Whispers, Ryukushi, stop reiterating points, we get it already. The quality of the gods' programming is truly surprising. Ooh. Well, unique personality traits can also be negative, right? Like, say, everyone in class was studying hard, but I was the only one slacking off, trying to stand out. I'll be going to sleep now. Sleep well, Rosa. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you have a great night. I give you many pops, pat, pat, pat. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you have fun. Night. Thank you. Good night, Rosa. I hope you have a great night and a great tomorrow. Yes. Okay, that last bit was... Thanks. No problem. Big peps. Pep. Okay, that last bit really was true about me. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school. What? What? A middle school teacher slapped you after school, sir? Oh, man. Oh, I did not expect that. Anyways, but, well, I tried to jump over things no one else could. Sprint as fast as I could, trying to lap those guys with good grades when we did a marathon. I just felt like doing it. It was in my nature that if I couldn't study well, then at least I could get back at them by exercising. Was corporal punishment still legal in the 1980s? I forgot. Is this the 1980s? Oh no, I accidentally pressed it again. Wasn't there like a log? Wasn't there like a log? I tried to jump over things no one else could sprint. If I couldn't study well. So I really did go through a proper growing Nani. Let me save, by the way. Cause like, what if it crashes? I will cry. I guess boys really do tend to focus more on physical stuff. But you know, girls of the same age tend to focus more on mental, spiritual things. I bet there were groups of girls in your classes that got really interested in fortune-telling in their spiritual senses.
Yeah, there were. They'd come over asking me for my sign and my blood type, and then I'd laugh. Then they'd laugh. I thought so. It really got on my nerves. No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling. deciding whether your spirit sense is strong or weak, what your sensitivity is, whether you can see the unseeable. That kind of thing definitely happened to me. That's because fortune telling and spiritual senses are things that aren't taught in school. To girls who tend to be more introverted, it's a genre that's easy to build an identity upon, and one that holds a lot of interest for them. Oh yeah, Umineko generally takes place in 1986. Though flashbacks or time skips happen often, the latest being 1998. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. That's very interesting to know. Dude, the latest being like 2 years after I was born. I cry.
Just like how when boys enter their growing period, they start acting tough and rebel against adults. When girls enter their growing period, they start getting interested in that kind of thing. Well, I didn't though.
So Maria having so much interest in the occult isn't that rare among girls her age? Even if we accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Actually, I think I probably could accept that explanation more or less. Also, hold on, let me fix up Nightbot with the timers. Yeah, let me just currently disable them right now. So I'm gonna disable all of them right now so it stops for a bit. But I'll bring it back when I do art.
As you said, becoming an adult means gaining knowledge and experience. So to gain that, it's necessary for children to learn all sorts of things and break free from childhood. However, there are certain convenient delusions that you see often in the world of children, both now and in the past. Do you know what I mean, sir? You see it all the time in manga and anime, right? It's kind of like that. Like you've got memories from a previous life that start to resurface. Like you're being possessed by the soul of the great something, or whatever.
Or it could be that a sleeping genie. They spelled genie wrong, but it's okay. Sleeping genie. Oh, I said genie, but I think it's Gene. It is a sleeping gene. Okay. Or it could be that a sleeping gene gets awakened, or maybe a sealed power or memory returns. There's all kinds. For some reason, stuff like that's really popular for that age. At that age, cannot read. Why is that?
All of those examples you just mentioned are illusions that let children immediately add to their sum of knowledge and experience. If a 9-year-old girl says she has a 1,000-year-old witch possessing her, then she gains a 1,009-year-old identity.
So y'all are implying that Maria is a chunibyo at the age of 9. Wow, okay. I actually don't know what that is.
So basically, studying is annoying. But these delusions are convenient for people who want to brag about having a skill no one else has, amazing the people around them.
So you could brag about something without having to work hard or study. Or study, sorry. I see. Isn't that the kid's greatest dream? I cannot read, Gomen.
Furthermore, in their desire to separate themselves from being kids, they also protect an image of their ideal self. And it's not rare for that desired self to become an alternate personality. Even you, Battler-kun, probably had a slightly different personality at home and at school, right?
Do you remember Sagara from One Bit Heart? She's pretty much an example of that. Oh, Sagara. Oh yeah, Sagara. The superhero lady. She's like, I'm gonna be a hero kind of lady. I think that was Sagara. Yeah, that one. Okay. Okay.
At school, you try to project yourself as you want to be, but home is where you're your true self, where you are your true self.
So in other words, I'm changing my personality depending on the situation. Are you trying to say having multiple personalities is actually really common?
A girl who's a fan of the occult might say she's being possessed or awakened. Honestly, there are some kids who change their personalities so much it's creepy. And some boys do it too, right? Guys who say they've blown their top and suddenly turn into some overplayed violent character. I'll bet they think it's pretty cool, but it's painful to watch.
Let's sum this all up. So you're saying that Even if a girl about Maria's age shows a creepy second personality like she did a minute ago, it isn't such a rare or an unusual thing. Simply put, that's right. Identity is an important factor when building up one's sense of self. If you make fun of it, it could actually cause children to go back into their shells. So it's important to go along with them to some degree, although the broad-mindedness of the parent determines whether they play along in full or not. Nikki, I can't believe you're single. You sound like you've already raised kids through middle school. So I wonder if Aunt Rosa knew much about Maria's dual personality.
She knew about it. Just between us, Aunt Rosa really hated it. She said it was unpleasant and that Maria was becoming increasingly isolated from the rest of the class. So anytime Maria started talking about the occult or laughing like a witch, she'd slap her.
Aw.
And it looks like Maria stopped talking that way in front of her.
Maybe that thing back there was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. And since she wanted to be different from herself, young as she was switching between her normal personality and the personality of her ideal, a witch. Also, I need some water because my throat. It do need it to cry. At first, I found that very disturbing, but after being lectured to by George and Nikki, it felt like this was another path. This was a path everyone walked down at one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force, saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red when I remember how, during what we called battle practice, we would chant EDF, EDF. Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in the TV ooh-ooing, and laughing like any girl her age. Excuse me, sorry. But on the bangs, pots and pans, Aunt Rosa fucking sucks and is the worst parent out of all the siblings. Aww, Jackie. Owie. Itai. Anyways, but on the inside, another personality that of the ideal witch she respected and blindly accepted was sleeping. Sorry, drinking water is like made my throat like help. But that wasn't anything extraordinary. It was perfectly natural for a girl of her age. I've calmed down a little. The shock from my bizarre experience in the kitchen just now was fading away. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might still be frightened by the idea that an invisible witch is standing right behind me. I think she's there, bro. You're just... bro. Anyways, however, can I really accept that as an explanation for what happened back there? If it had just been Maria, I could have explained it as the fickle delusions of a growing girl. But Genji-san, Kennen-kun, and Kumasawa Bad-chan also had also been there. That is honestly an achievement considering the fact that Rosa actually isn't the most shadiest one. That's kind of fucked up in some way. Cause like the rest of them, they're like, oh, we want money and stuff, but man, the entire like abusing your child though, ouch. None of them had denied what Maria said. They silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. Aunt Eva's position was that number 19th person existed, that the crime was an inside job tied to the family quarrels. On the other hand, Aunt Natsuhi's position was that the culprit was hiding somewhere outside the mansion, so she rejected the possibility of an inside job and supported the idea that a 19th person existed. And in the kitchen, Maria and the servants had also supported the idea of a 19th person, but according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They said it was an invisible witch carrying out some mysterious plan. Is there a 19th person or not? And is the culprit human or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of those possibilities. Not even the most ridiculous story about the witch. Jessica, all I know about the story of the witch is that the adults made it up to keep the kids too scared to enter the forest. But is the story different here in the mansion? I feel the same way you do, okay? I think it was just a stupid ghost story that parents made up so their kids would listen to them. But I can't deny that the atmosphere inside the mansion makes it a little hard to say it out loud. After all, Grandfather has proclaimed that Beatrice exists, and because of their position, the servants can't doubt that. Even Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi don't want to get into a fight with him, so on the surface, they'd go along with it. So it's probably fair to say that doubting the existence of Beatrice is taboo to those who live and work in this mansion. Unlike the rest of us, who only come here once a year. Is that right? Jessica took a deep breath in admiration. It looked like Aniki had guessed it right. It's just like you say. No one really believes it on the inside. But on the outside, they accept that she exists. See, it's just like the way some people are about God. Even if they know God doesn't exist, they feel like it'd be uncouth if they actually said it out loud. How do you think the servants feel about it? Are you just going along with it because Grandfather, their employer, says that she exists? Well, I don't really know the details, but between the servants, the story about Beatrice has been treated like a sort of ghost story. Remember yesterday, when Shannon was talking to us down by the beach? That story about how one night she was doing the rounds in the mansion, she saw something unsettling? She did say something like that, didn't she? Back then, I thought she was just being really nice to help improve Maria's mood, but it felt like she was serious when she said it. That's right, she definitely said it. She definitely said the same kind of thing that Genji and the rest had all unanimously declared back in the kitchen. In addition, some servants have also... didn't she say like... I forgot what voice I gave her.
In addition, some servants have also seen will-o-wisps and glittering butterflies dancing around. Camden-kun also saw something like that when he went patrolling one night, I don't know, and recently you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps inside the mansion near midnight.
I don't know what's going on. It's just my voice, because I think she's speaking, so...
We've whispered together that Beatrice-sama in the porch sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. It happened a while ago, but even I have heard footsteps while patrolling at night that resembles these stories.
That's right, she definitely said that. Exactly the same thing that had been told just now.
But there's nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice-sama is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master. So there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad.
However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right?
Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here, someone who spoke badly about Beatrice-sama fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice-sama's anger had been brought down upon this person. Uwu.
Anyways,
if you don't respect her, you'll suffer her wrath and get hurt. So to the servants, Beatrice's existence is just as credible as the story that if you pull pranks on Inari-san, you'll receive Kitsune-sama's curse.
I think she's still speaking, so I had to keep going. Of course, even though everyone accepts that curses and the like don't exist in the modern era, people are still afraid and still have a little respect for them. You often see it when, in a residential area, someone is building a house and they call it a Shinto priest for a ceremony to honor the god of that plot of land. You might think that it was just a big waste of time and money, but it is said that if the workers don't do that, a big accident will occur, so they never neglect to do it. You also hear about how, if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town replanning, there'd be a curse by Kitsune-sama. I think I might have read somewhere that when the when the occupying forces were trying to expand an airport, they tried to remove an Inari-san that was in the way, and the workers kept getting struck down by mysterious fevers. Even in modern cities like Tokyo, it wasn't rare to see modern buildings packed all around an old Inari shrine, leaving the shrine itself untouched. And this wasn't limited to Japan. It's probably similar to how foreigners baptize babies. If I remember right, by Christian doctrine, if unbaptized souls have even the slightest amount of sin, they will still go to hell. That's me, I'm going to hell, woo! Anyways, putting water on a child's forehead doesn't do anything but make them cry. But if they But if by doing just that, parents can prevent their children from going to hell, they will happily go through with that ceremony. In short, even in this modern society with no reason, we were still unable to throw away even every trace of belief and fear. Please, it's true though, Jackie. I literally sent you a picture of like a big boner Aesop. I mean, come on. I'm going to hell just for that. I'm going to hell just for that. I forgot where I was at. You could even say that we accept certain sorts of supernatural things, though in a passive way. Maybe the only difference on this island is that Beatrice is the object of that worship. So in other words, if anything happens that doesn't seem explainable to in human terms, it's called the work of Beatrice. I think Shannon-chan said it herself. Windows and doors and locks that were tightly shut would be open the next time you went to check them. Lights that should have been on went out, and lights that should have been out were turned on. And if I remember, even Jessica was joking about it, saying it was also the work of Beatrice when she couldn't find her bag in the morning.
Your memory's pretty good.
Normally, you'd say some little limps took them, but on this island, it's Beatrice. Well, it's all pretty stupid, though. This mansion has been standing for about 30 years by now, hasn't it? It's natural for things to that get. It's natural for things that old to get their fair share of ghosts and occult stories, like the 7 mysteries out of school.
But that's where I'll spin the chessboard around.
Huh?
Simply put, on this island, there's a rule that Beatrice gets blamed for anything that couldn't have been done by humans. Things that humans can't do. How many humans are here? 18. In other words, the culprit is using the rules of this island to make it look like a witch committed this crime, which proves that they desperately want us to think a 19th person did it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
What do you mean you don't like it?
Let's assume some invisible 19th person exists and wants people to know they exist. If it were me, I'd do it with even more perfect timing.
What do you mean by perfect timing?
Well, the crime took place sometime between the middle of the night and dawn, right? We had some people who were talking together until the middle of the night. Some people on night shifts and some people who'd returned to their rooms and were sleeping. Everyone's alibi is really vague, so there's plenty of room to suspect that the crime was an inside job. Also, I realized that I'm still in the art tab. So let me switch over from art to Umineko, so nobody comes here thinking I'm like working on art. Why everybody die. There we go. Let me refresh just to make sure it actually did it, because sometimes it doesn't do it when I refresh, and I have to redo it a second time. But Lynn's existence is a work of art. No, that's you, please. Okay. George, Aniki, Aunt Ava probably told you too, right? There's a good chance this crime was an inside job.
Yes, I guess.
In other words, if this invisible 19th person really exists and wants to let us know it, this first crime was a complete failure. No, in the first place, they chose the wrong time of day to do it. If this invisible 19th person really wanted to show themselves, they had to make sure that the crime took place under conditions which proved that the remaining 12 people were all innocent. As long as there's a single human we can suspect, this 19th person's attempt to highlight their presence fails. That's why, near midnight, when everyone's alibis are at their vaguest, the 19th person's existence is also at its vaguest. And yet, the culprit chose to commit the crime at that time. By committing the crime then, one of the 18 would obviously be suspected. And yet, someone handed Maria the letter and called themselves a witch, even though everyone denies they did it.
In other words, you're trying to say that one of the 18 is trying to make it look like a 19th person called Beatrice exists? That's a pretty crazy idea. I think Mom's theory about someone hiding outside the mansion is a bit more credible. Badler, don't tell me you actually think someone in this room is the culprit.
I do. Someone's trying to force us to accept that Beatrice exists. That's right. This whole thing started as far back as the letter last night. I don't have any basis or proof. But with the chessboard turned around, this is my biggest guess.
Seriously, that's too crazy. You sure you haven't been reading too many weird detective novels?
However, it's an angle we can't ignore. Whether there's a 19th person or not, the culprit's definitely planning something involving that rule about this island. Just now, listening to Badler-kun talk, I remembered something that's a little disturbing. Something disturbing? Yes. Do you remember? Beatrice's letter. It said that Beatrice was going to collect interest, and by interest, it mentioned everything of the Ushiromiya family. Jessica and I thought back on what Maria had read aloud the previous night. Yeah, it said that. It definitely said that the collection of the interest was going to take place shortly, but if the riddle of the gold could be solved, she'd lose that right. Grandfather received the gold and rebuilt the Ushiromiya family. In other words, according to Beatrice, everything created using the gold as capital counts as part of the interest. Which means... That's pretty scary for a joke, Aniki. Yeah, I wasn't sure who was talking, so I just read it in a normal voice. You don't mean everything of the Ushiromiya family. In other words, everything that grandfather gave birth to. In other words, everyone with grandfather's blood flowing through their veins. If you interpret the letter that way, these murders are just Beatrice legitimately collecting interest. If that's the case, these crimes will continue, because the collection of interest is still only halfway completed. George turned around looking over the parlor. There were still many people who held the name Ushiromiya, and because Goda-san and Shannon-chan had been killed, we knew that not even the servants were safe, despite lacking the Ushiromiya name.
So are they planning to kill us all? But that's weird, Georgini-san. In that case, why only 6 people? They should have been able to kill a lot more. At worst, it should have been possible for them to assault everyone while they were sleeping and kill them in a single night. Why didn't they do that?
The special clause. If someone manages to solve the riddle of the gold, their right to the interest will be lost. And remember how the letter ended? It challenged us all to solve the riddle of grandfather's gold. Jesus! It looks like we're finally understanding the culprit's message. In other words, the culprit's telling us to try and solve the riddle on the epitaph grandfather had made. On top of that, they're saying that if we just sit around, they'll keep collecting the interest. I realize this is all based on several guesses that are way out there. But not everything that happens in this world fits together in a perfect line. Most of the events we don't understand are only individual points. By fitting them into a straight line, we're beginning to understand. When the points at either end of the line are really close, the line itself is more logical and easier to understand. And when those points are really far away, the opposite is true. It's the distance between these points that make us say our guesses are way out there. However, if the distances we span are too narrow, that means our thinking will be narrow too. Is there a difference between making guesses and reasoning? Am I just using easily made guesses to try and force this crime into a pattern I can understand? No, that's not it. When you're lost in the dark and searching around with your hands, what you're doing is relying on your imagination and making guesses. Only imagination can find the points that need to be tied together. Reasoning is nothing more than the act of drawing lines between them. If you can't imagine, you can't reason. What I'm doing now might be way out there, but I'm sure it isn't a mistake either. Only the power of imagination can pull clues out from the darkness, and then I can use the power of reasoning to tie those clues together. It was a lot like the process of searching out an enemy's weak spot and striking. It's okay if I'm way out there. Find a weak point first, Then we can think about how to strike. Right now is the time to find points we can tie together later. Water! Water, water! Yeah, the rain was telling me for a water break. Hydration! Hydration. For the time being, I put aside whether a 19th person existed, and announced our theory that the goal of the culprit might have been to make us solve the riddle of the epitaph. Uncle Hideyoshi seemed to be extremely interested, but Aunt Natsuhi said it was ridiculous and dismissed it.
Of course. If you think about it that way, even that letter from yesterday makes sense. That motive seems to fit pretty well with the facts, setting aside whoever it was that gave Maria-chan the letter.
Ooh. Beatrice exists! Ooh.
Even though she was puffing up her cheeks in that cute way she'd been doing since yesterday, I couldn't think of it as cute. If I poked fun at her, it might suddenly transform into a creepy laugh.
There is no hidden gold. However, if the culprit is blindly sure of its existence,
I'm trying to do the voice.
and if they're trying to make us believe they solved the riddle before snatching the gold away from themselves, then I will agree and make sense.
I don't know if I'm doing it right, because this is the first time I'm doing this voice.
However, if that were the case, why would they start by killing those most highly ranked in the Ushirami family?
I see your point. If they wanted to make us solve the riddle, killing those closest to Kinzo-san doesn't sound like a good plan to me. Because I gave the guy my same voice, because there's just so many people to keep track of. That's true enough. And if we're going with that argument, wouldn't it have been quicker to threaten father in the first place? You think it'd be faster to just ask the person who wrote it, rather than try to force us to solve it.
You've got a point there. Still, I think there's more than your average threat to make father spill the beans.
Anyone who knows Kinzo-san would probably... Anyone who knows that Kinzo-san would probably realize that he went about ordinary threats. Okay, well, I got a voice for him now. I don't think I gave anybody that voice, so he gets it. He gets that.
He's the man who bears responsibility for the Ushiramiya family and is all vast wealth. He's been exposed to many threats and attacks in the past. The family only prospered today because he was able to overcome all of them. That's freaking right. I can't even imagine our grandfather obeying someone because of a threat. Jessica, what's your language?
Sorry, the way she was like more, it'd be more like, Jessica, what's your language? There you go. Yes, mom. There, that was more. Sorry, the yelling, just totally, like, that was totally, like, accurate, like, in the feeling of it, so. In that case, what about this idea? No, wait, is this one also way out there? I couldn't hesitate. Out there ideas are like bows and arrows. They might be hard to hit with, but it's a great weapon, because you can't hit enemies far away. They say most people who've died in battles were killed by arrow wounds. In a battle, you can't just shoot off one arrow. Sorry, excuse me. You shoot a whole bunch of arrows at once, pushing forwards towards the enemy troops with a wall of them. So, keep shooting, over and over. Create a wall as you push towards the truth. If the culprit is after the hidden gold, forcing us to solve the riddle wouldn't be very efficient for them. It'd be much quicker and easier to ask the person who made it in the first place. Sorry, like, because I drink water, I'm like burping constantly. In that case, the question is this all a message directed at grandfather? In other words, these murders were a threat made against grandfather. If he didn't tell the culprit where the gold was, his family members would be killed off one by one. what if we weren't the only ones being forced to solve this riddle? What if Grandfather was too? If you think about it that way, it explains Grandfather's mysterious disappearance. If the culprit has already attacked Grandfather, then judging by the state of the 6 corpses were left in, he should have been left on display somewhere with that horrible makeup added. Vibrates as I try not to spill the beans. Okay, Jackie, I popped the... But despite that, we still haven't found him. So does that mean Grandfather has been kidnapped and is being held somewhere?
How could? You aren't saying how could?
That sounds interesting. So, Grandfather's being confined somewhere, and the culprit's saying we'll be killed off one by one if he doesn't tell them where the gold is?
It pains me to imagine how you find that interesting.
Aunt Natsuhi glared at her, but Aunt Ava just smiled calmly.
Since we can't, I can't help me. I think I'm dying too. Since we still haven't seen him after all this time, I think it's almost certain that Grandfather's gotten caught up in the crime. If you think about it, you can't just ignore Butler-kun's theory, right?
I don't know who's talking. Be quiet, George. In the first place, when did Father actually disappear? I didn't know who was talking there, so...
Who was the last person to see Father?
Oh, it was Ava? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It was probably me. This morning, when we didn't know where my husband and the rest were, we discussed the possibility of them being in Father's study. And I went to check his room and greeted him there. Can't you think of it? I've been holding the key to this study all whole time.
Haven't I?
Genji, let me return this to you.
Aunt Natsuhi pulled out the gold key and handed it to Genji. I just figured since Natsuhi is too respectful to tell other people's kids to shut the fuck up. Okay, I'm actually still confused on whose kids is what. I mean, I just recently remembered like 2 seconds ago that Jessica's Natsuhi's kid. But other than that, I forgot who's what's kid. Also, Rudolph. Battler's Rudolph's kid. But I forgot who George's kid was. Not kid, sorry, George's kid. George's parent. Anyways, I handed it to Genji. Looking at the key, Aunt Eva giggled. Hey, Genji-san. I'm sure the police will inspect Father's room thoroughly. If there's anything hidden there, it'll just be exposed anyway. So maybe it'd be better if you just told us about it right here or right now. Natsuhi and Jessica are like the easiest to me because same ponytails. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
What are you talking about?
It's simple. Father's study is a closed room, with no way in or out except for that key, right? I want to verify whether that's true. There is one entrance to Father's study. What about the window? Any other entrances or exits? Sorry about my throat.
There are none. There is no way to get in except the entrance.
You're sure about that? There isn't some secret hidden door or anything? Since Father isn't here, I am the highest ranked member of the Ushinomiya family. I am asking you as a representative of the Ushinomiya family head. Remember that when you answer me. Are there any ways in or out of that room other than the main entrance? As Father's closest aide, I'm sure you would know. Aunt Natsuhi looked a little offended at the part about the highest ranked family member, but she kept her mouth closed for the time being and waited for Genji's answer. I couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. But yeah, George's parents are Ava and Hideyoshi. Oh, okay. Okay. George is as big as Hideyoshi, and Ava likes to gloat that George is the oldest of the kids, so that's how I remember. Oh, okay. Rosa and Maria are the youngest kids in their respective generations, so that's how I remember. Oh, I see. Why was she going on and on about hidden doors? You too, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san. If you know, won't you tell me? If there is one, it'd be better if you said so. Otherwise, a certain person might be driven into a corner in a second. If we assume that there is a hidden door, then my argument comes to nothing. Aunt Eva didn't specify which person was about to be driven into a corner, but following the flow of the conversation, I had a feel that she was referring to Aunt Natsuhi. Mother, what are you talking about? George, stay quiet for a bit. What do you say? Genji-san? Kanin-kun? Or Kumasawa-san? Is there a hidden door? Or not? Genji-san, when you remodeled Father's study, you must have overseen the construction. I won't let you say you don't know.
There is nothing like that in the master study.
You're sure? What about Kanin-kun? One who's allowed to wear the one-winged eagle? That's right. I'm sure. There is no such hidden door in the master study. Kumasawa-san?
No, I haven't heard of such a thing.
What about Dr. Nanjo? You've had a close relationship with Father. I never heard of something like that. Very well then. So are you ready? Let me begin. It's very simple. Badler is actually the hardest for me to remember, to be honest, since Badler and his little sister don't really look like them too much. Oh, I see. I mean, it does make sense because Badler has his like red hair, so it's kind of hard to how do I say, remember that. Everyone tilted their head doubtfully, wondering what Aunt Eva was starting to talk about so proudly. Aunt Eva laughed triumphantly, as though she were about to reveal a secret only she knew. Natsuhi-san was the last person to spot Father, right? I forget the exact time, but I think it was a little before 9 in the morning. Ne-san, do you remember? I ran into you just as you were coming out of Father's study, right?
Yes, I remember. I remember. What does that have to do with anything?
And when was the next time you went to visit Father's study? That was after we found the bodies of Nissan and the rest, right? Together with me, you went up to the study to report that, and we discovered that he wasn't there. By the way, Nissan, at that time, when we went to enter Father's study, did you notice anything? Bro, time to bully Natsuhi. That feel went.
Notice anything? What are you talking about?
Come on. You picked up some trash, right? A folded receipt.
I don't seem to remember picking up some trash.
Looks at her. I'm joking.
How is that relevant?
I got that receipt when I bought some candy at a store before arriving at the airport. Aunt Eva pulled a small bag of candy out of her handbag.
The receipt from that candy you brought back there? But Mother, what does that receipt have to do with anything?
George, stay quiet and listen for just a bit longer.
Uncle Hideyoshi's expression was a little strict. Apparently he understood what Aunt Eva was getting at. It really was just a whim. I definitely didn't foresee anything, or try to set up a trap for Natsuhi Ne-san or anything like that. Actually, about that receipt. Ne-san, you remember bumping into me right after the last time you saw Father, right? At that time, I wedged this into the door to the study. So what does that mean? Are you trying to say no one opened the door until Aunt Natsuhi picked up that receipt?
Wait a second, Aunt Eva. Wedging a receipt in would be obvious. It's possible that when Grandfather opened the door, he noticed it, finding it amusing, and stuck it back in the door.
Jessica hurriedly argued back. She still didn't really know what this all meant. But she realized that whatever it was, it would raise suspicions about her own mother. Of course, I folded the receipt up very small so that no one would notice it. But even if you assumed that he saw it fall, he would have no way of knowing how high up the door it had been stuck, right? I checked it while Natsuhi Ne-san was taking the key out. The receipt was still stuck not 1 millimeter away from where I put it.
I can't understand why you would pull such a childish prank. I bet you were the one who did that prank on the door to my room too.
The door to your room?
It unpleasant to talk about, so I never mentioned it. But when I woke up this morning, there were the signs of some plank on the outside of my door. And that's probably why the same red paint that scribbled across the shutter. I'm trying to like cut it to sound more Asian, sorry. There was some unpleasant marks as though someone had been tearing the door. I'm bad at the Asian accent.
Wait, what's this? Why'd you keep quiet about this till now?
My apologies. I'm sorry. Since so many horrible things that occurred since then, I had completely forgotten about it until this moment.
I don't know.
I do that.
I don't know if I should do a higher voice for her. I don't know anything about that. I'm not talking about your door, but the door to Father's room, right? Between the time you confirmed that he was in his room and the time we confirmed that he wasn't, the door wasn't opened even once. How did Father get out if he didn't use the door?
I don't know that. That's what I want to know.
Natsuhine-san, other than you, who else checked to see whether Father was in his room?
Last night, the last time I met the Kinzo-san was when we were playing a chess. So I was with him until just before dinner.
Who saw him after that?
I did. I gave him his dinner last night.
Yes, Shannon and I were with him.
So at that time, Father was still definitely in his room. However, Natsuhine-san, when you found out he wasn't there, it looks like all ways in or out of the study were closed, right? But even so, you said you met him with blah 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 blah. But even so, you said you met with him this morning.
I don't understand why everyone has to become so gloomy. Could someone please explain it to me?
Father and Mother, are you saying that what Natsuki says about meeting Grandfather this morning was a lie? Like hell she'd lie about that. Mom's guiltless. Why would she lie? Jessica! I keep telling you to watch your language!
It's fun to do that. Sorry. All at once, the whole room was in an uproar. Aunt Ava and Aunt Natsuki confronted each other across the parlor table, with George confronting Jessica. What the heck's going on? Many people spotted him last night, right? But since this morning, the only one who claims to have seen Father is Natsuhine-san. And then there's that strange fact that, well, and there's that strange fact we learned from my receipt. So, how can we connect these points together? The girls are fighting! They do be. Aunt Ava urged everyone to imagine it. Sure, that receipt could become an important point, but I didn't know which other points to tie it to, or how. If we try searching for the answer, Aunt Ava probably wants, if we try searching for the answer Aunt Ava probably wants, we'll find that Aunt Natsuki lied and acted as though Grandfather was in the room this morning. Has that fact been exposed by a whim of an Aunt Ava's?
I don't get it at all. Why would Mom have to lie? She had no reason to, right?
That's what I want to know. But Jessica-chan, you can't be sure she had no reason to lie and say that Grandfather was in the room. After all, you see it in mystery novels every now and then. That trick where people fake the time of death to create an alibi for themselves.
What are you talking about? I've never heard of that.
We still haven't found Father yet, but it's pretty natural to assume that he's already been killed. If that's true, there's no doubt we'll find his corpse soon. If at that point, the time of death could be cleverly faked, Natsuhine-san would be able to create an alibi. Do you understand, everyone? This morning, when Aunt Natsuki confirmed that Grandfather was there, she lied, and he was already dead at that time. And then she moved the body to some other location and tampered with it so that when we find it, we'll think he was killed just a second ago. I'm bad at reading. And top of that, when we find it, we'll think he was killed just a second ago. That'd make it possible for her to create an alibi, even just by staying with the rest of us. Then she could say, I heard someone screaming, dash over there, and become the first to find the body along with everyone else. Is that what Aunt Ava's saying?
Ridiculous! After all,
are merely books for the purpose of entertainment. You can only think of such an indiscreet idea because you read it all the time.
That's right. Even if she did try to fake the time of death a little, all that would be blown away in an instant once the police did their autopsy. That might have worked in the past, but do you really think that kind of trick would work in modern Japan? It doesn't make sense. You think so? This morning, when Dr. Nanjo looked at the corpses, he was only able to give a vague estimate of the time of death, right? Autopsy results are very easily affected by the environment and individual differences. It's a very relative estimate with an uncertainty of several hours. And unfortunately, the police's scientific investigation will have to wait until tomorrow. It wouldn't be easy to measure the correct time of death so accurately, even in modern Japan. Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo? Sorry, Mamma Mia. Examining a corpse is an extremely difficult task that requires both experience and instinct. I have heard that there's a very high chance of a mistaken diagnosis. I imagine it is very possible for a misreading of just a few hours to occur. Because I had to go Mamma Mia. I forgot how the accent went for a quick second. That's why I had to go Mamma Mia.
However, for an alibi, that's more than enough. It's an old trick. It's a trick that works well enough. Natsuhi-ne-san, it's not like we want to suspect you, okay? We just want to prove your innocence so we don't have to suspect you.
Aesop vibrates as he hears the mention of examining corpses. Gay. He's getting a boner for it. Chop chop. He's that. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank God there was no soda in there. He's basically that boner picture that I sent you. That boner picture of Aesop. What is the
What had the innocence you want me to prove? This morning, I definitely met with Father. And he told me to keep that one-winged eagle engraved on my heart. Are you denying that he said that too? I would certainly not permit that. I won't let you deny that Father said those words.
Or maybe Father's body won't appear anywhere. Normally, a person has to be missing for 7 years before they're officially dead. Wouldn't that be a clever way to extend Father's nearly finished life another 7 years and keep all of his wealth for yourself?
I can't let you get away with that! I can't let you do anything!
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I am Ushirami Nasahi! Although I do not have the right to wear the one-winged eagle on my body, it is certainly engraved on my heart! What do you think you're saying? To the wife of Christ! She stands on the head and the one who answers to praise!
It sounds so funny, I'm sorry. What's this? Uwu, Owo, grabs bulge. Are you going to shoot me with that gun? Go ahead. If only you'd just shoot. You're just desperate because you can't think of a way out, right? Do it. Just try to obscure the truth with violence. Not to be fucking chill. Victor's corpse is the one he most looks forward to the most. It is. He's that big boner picture to Victor's corpse. It wasn't like Natsuhi had been actually holding that gun at the ready and threatening anyone. But as she was egged by Aunt Ava, she did hold it at the ready. Unsurprisingly, once things got to this stage, Jessica and Genji-san tried to stop her.
Madam, please calm yourself!
Mom, you aren't lying, so there's no reason for you to listen to this.
Calm down, Natsumi-san. All you've got to do is swear that Father definitely was in that room. Why are you getting so worked up?
Bro, come on. She's literally accusing her of murder. Like, of course she's gonna get worked up. That is correct. Natsuhi-san isn't lying. Shouldn't that be the end of it? Then I want you to explain. How did Father manage to disappear from that room? The window was closed tight from the inside. The same was true for the door, right? This morning, if you really met with Father, then you must explain how Father disappeared from this unopenable door closed room scenario. If you don't, that means you're lying after all, right?
How far do you plan to mock me?
If you want to argue back, go ahead. That's right. Try explaining it right here, right now. If you do it, I'll apologize for suspecting you. How did father manage to get out from that closed room?
I cannot explain. There's no need for me to do so.
Really? Then let me explain it. Let's take the best parts from my perspective and yours and come up with a more friendly explanation. I'll believe what you said about father still being in his room this morning. However, the next time the door was opened, father wasn't there. You don't have any objections so far, right?
I have no desire to hear anything more you have to say. Shut your frivolous mouth.
Sorry, it's so funny. I know this is like a serious moment, but it's kind of funny. My reasoning goes like this, okay? I can confirm that on both occasions you were the only one to go through that door, and the receipt proves it. So, what's the answer to the puzzle of how father left the room? The window. He was sent out of the window. Natsuhina-san, you threw father out of the third-story window of the study in the courtyard. Matt, I'm sorry, this was so funny. Madam, please, endure it. It's okay, the culprit is also laughing as we speak. Oh, okay. I see.
Eva-sama, please stop this.
After that, when you left and said you were going to check the doors and windows, you took father's corpse, which had fallen in the courtyard, and hid it. That was probably when you took some measures to fake the time of death, right?
This ties in with the case regarding Cross Nissan and the rest, and also the case regarding Beatrice last night. There's a really good chance we've got reason to suspect Natsuhi-san in all those cases. Normally, I wouldn't want to say this, but now that it's out in the open, there's nothing else I can do. Please, Natsuhi-san, please explain how you can be innocent. Otherwise, I can't help but suspect you.
Why me? Why must I? What should I Natsuhi be something like this?
Looks like we've got everyone's views on record now. It's useless. It's all useless, Aunt Eva.
What do you mean useless?
Jessica looked up at me, hanging on to my every word. Aunt Eva's expression was confident as ever. Useless, you say? What is? Badler-kun, tell me. You're only convinced it was Aunt Natsuhi because you're only looking at the case from a single angle. It's not like I'm defunding her, but that bluff of a checkmate isn't gonna fly. Okay, but why would Natsuhi kill her own husband? Even if she wanted the gold, she wouldn't have the right to go to Eva. Oh, true though, true. I agree. Like, it wouldn't make sense because I think she seemed to really care about her husband. So, you know. I think your reasoning regarding that receipt was passable. It's not a bad thread of logic, but I'd only give it a grade of 65 at best. If this were an exam, that'd be bad enough to get you extra lessons in detention, right? Oh my. Well, how do you think anyone could break through the door sealed by my receipt and make father disappear, other than by my theory? Sorry, I had to burp. It's true that your theory is an interesting one. And if you could say for sure that there was no way to make grandfathers grandfathers. I'm laughing because I said grandfathers disappear. And if you could say for sure that there was no way to make grandfather disappear, then you probably would be able to prove that the last person to see him, Aunt Natsuhi, was guilty. However, since there's still a possibility she's innocent and these accusations are false, we can't be sure about that. Sorry. The burps. Wow. Go, man. Like, my throat's all, like, airy. So, my chest feels airy, too, so. Yeah. Then Badler-kun, are you saying someone other than Natsuhi-san made grandfather disappear? It'd be impossible for anyone else to do it. My receipt proved that, right? after the first time she visited that study. And until the second time we visited together, the study was a perfectly closed room. And when the seal was broken on the closed room, he was already missing. If that doesn't prove she's the culprit, what kind of trick could they have used? Oh, thank you, Jackie. Like I said, Aunt Ava, only 65 points. So let's try spinning the chessboard around, shall we? The question isn't how someone managed to make grandfather disappear from the outside. We should think about how grandfather disappeared from the inside. The door had the receipt stuck in it, so it couldn't have been used. He also couldn't have gone through the window because you can't lock it from the outside. And when Aunt Ava visited the study, she checked to make sure it was locked, so the window also wasn't used. At that point, the study really was a closed room. We have to accept this. However, the study didn't remain a closed room forever. Once the seal created by the receipt was removed, it'd be possible for someone to escape by the door. In other words, the question isn't how Aunt Natsuhi made grandfather disappear. We need to think about how he was able to escape. What if, I'm just thinking, like, what if the grandfather, like, he saw it and he got out and just made sure to put the receipt back when he got out? Like, I don't know, that just makes a lot of sense to me. They were like, oh, because she managed to put it so high, right? But if she managed to put it so high herself, I'm pretty sure her grandfather, or like not her grandfather, the grandfather is able to put it back, but maybe I'm wrong. It could also be, Beatrice, just salagadule, michigabule, bippity boppity boo, that kind of thing. Oh, hold on. Okay, I wanted to make sure, I remember I bought McDonald's, and I just wanted to make sure I put my card back. Because when I went to go pick up my little brother, I bought McDonald's for him. And I didn't put my card back in my wallet. So I just wanted to make sure it was in there because I thought about it. I'm like, did I put it back in my wallet? I did. Yeah. Yeah, like what Jessica said earlier, especially since they already mentioned that Kinzo's the kind of weirdo to find that kind of thing cute. Well, amusing, but same difference. I kind of agree. I kind of agree with that because it's just like, I think he would have noticed. Like, he just seems like the kind of guy, like, who kind of notices those small details. I don't know. I just feel like he's that kind of guy just from, like, looking. Or, because he's in that room often. So, it must have, like, fallen when he opened the door. And he must have been like, meh. So, he's just like, I'll just put it back while I leave. I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure, like, he doesn't leave the door very often. And it's probably something very noticeable. I don't know. But if that really was the thing, then yay, I got it right. But if it wasn't, then I had a bad guess. But it could also, like I said, it could also be Beatrice. Also, it's getting hot again, so I'm gonna turn on the fan just a little bit until I get cold again. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I read the thing. Anyways, grandfather's study isn't an ordinary study, right? According to Genji-san, there's a toilet and a kitchen and even a bedroom, almost like a little house. For example, what if he was hiding under the bed and the two of you only thought he was missing? Aunt Eva, you didn't even check that far, right? And then the two of you went back down the stairs, thinking he wasn't there. At that time, the receipt was already gone, but why would he be under the bed? Anyways, Eva said that the receipt didn't budge at all when she checked with Natsuhi, but maybe Kinzo just enjoyed the challenge. The dude's a weirdo. I mean, I bet so. He went through the challenge of getting Beatrice and, Anyways, at that time, the receipt was already gone. In other words, if grandfather was hiding in his room the whole time, it was a closed room. Oh, sorry. If grandfather was hiding in his room the whole time, it was a closed room, and escaped after letting the two of you go past him, we can crack this closed room right open. What are you talking about? Why would father need to escape the room in such a bizarre fashion? Don't be absurd. Yeah, it might be absurd. However, it still shows that there's a possibility Aunt Natsuhi is being falsely accused. Your receipt wasn't perfect. In chess, we might call that check, but it isn't checkmate. But the thing that really pisses me off is how you're pressuring Aunt Natsuhi to explain it, then claiming that she must be guilty if she doesn't. If you want to go down that road, then why don't you let me, Ushiromi of Valor, spin the chessboard around one more time? Aunt Eva, according to your own argument, You must explain to us why you and Uncle Hideyoshi couldn't have killed those 6 last night and then casually returned to the guest house. You've been trying to force Aunt Natsuhi to explain, so I'm sure you can prove your own innocence, right? Especially now that all of grandfather's wealth is suddenly plopped right... Especially now that all of grandfather's wealth has suddenly plopped down right into your hands.
That's right. You're suspicious enough yourself, aren't you? If you say Mom's suspicious because she was the last person to see him, then what about you, Aunt Eva, the last person to see Dad and the rest of us? The rest of us. And the rest! I said the rest of us. I am disappointed in myself.
But yeah, get used to hearing weird-ass theories being spewed out. Oh boy, Eva said that the receipt did budge at all, but when she checked with Natsui, but Kinzo just enjoyed. Oh yeah, I already read that. I'm a dum dum. Gomin. I read it again like a dum dum. Sorry.
Just like Badler said, prove that you two weren't the ones who killed them.
Mother, I also think your reasoning was a little overeager. I'm sure the receipt was an important hint. But like Battler-kun said, that's not enough to prove that Aunt Natsuhi was responsible for some plot. We're all equally suspicious. It's not right for only Aunt Natsuhi to be persecuted. Her proud father crawling under his bed? You call nonsense like that an explanation?
In that case, why don't you explain it first? Who killed those 6? And how? And then try showing us proof that you weren't involved.
Yeah, that's what I want to do right now too. That's my real cough. Mood. Cough. You okay, Jessica? Milady. Jessica suddenly started coughing. At first I thought she was just choking after yelling too loud, but before long I realized how painful it looked. Jessica kept coughing and choking, down on her hands and knees.
Jessica! Hey, get there! Dr. Nanjo!
Jessica-san, your inhaler quickly. No, wait, I have a one with me. Dr. Nanjo pulled out a bronchodilator inhaler from his own bag, which was lying on the sofa, and handed it to Jessica. Come to think of it, 6 years ago, didn't Jessica sometimes break into violent coughing fits and have to use that? However, 6 years ago, I never saw Jessica look like she was in this much pain. Aniki, was Jessica's asthma always this bad? It's gotten a lot worse these last few years. It's no problem when she's normal, but when an attack comes suddenly, she can't stop coughing anymore. Lady, your medicine. Here. Sorry, I had to do it. Taking the inhaler from Kanin-kun, Jessica used it with a practiced hand. It looked like her throat would still itch after a while, but she had it under control. Are you okay, Jessica? You scared me.
It's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
Beads of sweat covered Jessica's whole body, and she couldn't hide her rough breathing, but it looked like her sudden attack had calmed down for now. The disturbance had made the disturbance had made the dangerous atmosphere up until now seemed slightly unfocused, but that's fine. That kind of battle of mutual suspicion is completely unnecessary. When you think about it, finding alibis for each other and looking for the culprit is probably meaningless. After all, we're just powerless, ordinary people. And when the police come tomorrow, they'll definitely employ cutting-edge techniques and investigate the case thoroughly, solving all of the riddles and arresting the culprit. Perhaps Badler-kun is right after all. Just as Natsuhine-san is suspicious, I can't ignore the fact that I'm suspicious too. Arguing about that now will surely be unproductive. Everything will be fine if we just leave it to the police tomorrow. But don't you want to know too, Badler-kun? Who the culprit is? Don't you want to let them know the pain you feel from losing someone precious to you as soon as possible? I won't deny that. Even one day would be too long to let the wonderful bastard who... Even one day would be too long to let the wonderful bastard who's behind this go. But That doesn't mean I don't. Blah blah. I'm getting bad at reading. I don't know why so suddenly, but that doesn't mean I want to suspect one of the 18. Even though I said blah blah. Even though I said what I said earlier, I don't even want to suspect you, Aunt Eva. To me, you're an awesome aunt who's always fun and playful. I don't want to trade insults with an aunt like that. I wouldn't want to do that with anyone here. Right? Everyone? I feel the same way as Battler-kun. It's pointless to trade insults. It's probably just the stress built up because so many people have been crammed in one place since morning. Blah blah blah. It is only unnatural. It may not be a place to say it, but I think we should all relax it as much as possible.
Eva, I think we'd better cool our heads too. The receipt's definitely a big clue for figuring out how Father disappeared. We should tell the police about it when they come.
That's right. Right. I just felt a little triumphant when I figured out that part of... I just felt a little triumphant when I figured out that part with the receipt. Of course, it isn't fair to only suspect Natsuhina-san, right? We're just as suspicious. But still, Battler-kun, at least the part about the receipt is real, okay? Don't forget it. And try thinking deeply about what it means one more time, okay? Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi stood up. It looked like they planned on leaving the parlor. In the end, it's pointless for us to keep playing detectives. After all, the police will reveal everything anyway. And that's right. Even if we don't play this detective game, the typhoon will pass. And when those lively seagulls return to the harbor, everything will settle itself. That's right. If you think about it, this kind of crime is completely trivial. It will definitely be resolved, even if we do nothing. Even when the seagulls... when the seagulls cry! Oi! Why'd you make me cry? Okay, turning off the fan. Natsuhina-san, I take it you don't want to see my face anymore? Bold of y'all to assume you'll want to live by the... rip. I feel the same. If I remember correctly, yesterday you had some rooms prepared for us in the mansion so that we wouldn't need to go back to the guest house, right? Those should each have a bath and a toilet, as well as a lock and a chain to secure the door. There's even a bed to lie on, and my husband will be able to watch TV without having to fight with Maria-chan over which channel to watch, right?
Do whatever you want, but make sure to be cautious.
Thank you, Nessan. And mind your own business. I'll be counting on you to keep an eye on everyone, okay? Because the culprit is definitely here. And Nessan, make sure you don't forget to keep an eye on yourself, too.
Have you finished talking your pants shots? Your parting shots?
I said pants shots. Pants shots!
Your parting shots!
Yes, I'm finished. See you, Natsuhina-san. Genji-san, let us know when it's time for dinner. Until then, we'll lock ourselves in with the chain.
Genji! Kana! Escort her to the guest room!
We'll be fine. I think she's saying, I think Eva's talking. We'll be fine. I hate shady escorts. In fact, I'd be more comfortable if nobody leaves this room until we reach ours. I don't know who's talking. Let's go, George. Okay, I was just making doubly sure. Dies.
I'll stay here with everyone.
George, the culprit is in this room. Do you plan on staying in a place like that?
Leaving this room would be the same as suspecting one of my relatives. I can't believe anyone in our family is capable of something that horrible.
George, darling, you tell him too.
George is already an adult man. If his code tells him not to leave this room, then it's up to his titties.
I wanted to say that.
Let him do what he wants with dumb titties.
Father. Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi left. The only voice that called after them was the sound of the rain. And I set fire to the rain. Watch it burn as I touched your face. Anyways, the parlor was being buried beneath the savage atmosphere. When I looked at the clock, I was surprised to find that it was already evening. His favorite titties died though, rip. They did. Those were his favorite titties. Had we really spent that much time worrying about needless things? Talking with each other? Fighting with each other? Feeling bored, I started scratching at my head when Maria and I made eye contact. I was a little surprised since I thought she was completely immersed in the TV. I believe it now. The letter, the murders, everything. It was all Beatrice. In fact, I almost feel like begging her to come out and take credit for it all. I want it to be the work of a 19th person. Otherwise, the 18 of us will have to keep on... Otherwise, the 18 of us will have to keep on suspecting each other. I think believing in a 19th person is better than that. Bringing grandfather outside without opening the doors or windows must be a piece of cake for Beatrice, right? Maria, after taking a single short breath, hung her head and then raised her face again.
That's right. Locking a door is useless against the witch. Beatrice is familiar with all 72 demons. The 33rd rank god gives the power to instantly carry the desired person to any location. To her, taking a person out of any closed room isn't hard at all, you see?
Witches are sure incredible. Tell her if she feels like committing another crime to do it in another way that no human could. And make me believe that a 19th person, no, a witch exists. Battler, no! Yeah, Jackie.
Okay, if I meet her, I'll tell her.
Oh my god, Battler. Yamero! Crap. Nothing's made sense for me for blah, blah. I keep going blah blah blah. I should make a compilation of me going blah 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 blah. Throughout this entire stream. Crap. Nothing's made sense to me for a while now. Just when I want to believe in a 19th person, I deny. And just when I want to believe there are only 18 people, I deny that too. Even though I want there to be more than just the 18 people here, I can't accept the existence of that 19th person. But I die of cuteness overload. No! It's just me going blah blah blah. Blah, 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 blah. Just me blubbering because I keep messing up. Please, that's not cute. In short, even though there are more than 18 people, there are less than 19 people. The number of people in this mansion is 19 over X over 18. I don't know how to read that in English. ASMR, sorry. So the number of people can't be represented by an integer. However, it's impossible for there to be anything after the decimal point. You shouldn't be able to show the number of people with anything but an integer. And yet, 19 is greater than X and X is greater than 18. There you go. I think that's yeah. I think that's how you're supposed to read it. How do you explain the fraction less than 1? It's no wonder that 19th person was something that couldn't be seen. That's why, since you can only write the number of people as an integer, you couldn't see that person. That which cannot be seen. Battler, people are dying. We don't have time for indecisive bullcrap. It's either 18 or 19. Pick your poison. Honestly. Ooh, hold on. Let me stretch. Oh, that stretch. Whoa. Oh, that stretching feels really good. Woo. Oh, that feels amazing. Wow. I feel like I haven't stretched in a while. Wow. Okay. Okay, because Beatrice has no body. Therefore, she is invisible. Is there a 19th person or not? Sorry, I'm just trying to fix my mic. Does the witch exist or not? 19 is greater than X, and X is greater than 18. The witch exists somewhere in that X. Also smooches Lynn's back. Yay! Beto sticking her leggy out. I'm an imaginary number. Please. Wow, that chapter is pretty good. You know, I wasn't expecting, like, to stream as long as I have, but I'm gonna stream just a bit longer because I'm definitely into this right now. And also, I'm not tired or anything. I feel sleepy, but I don't feel, like, tired, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't want to go to sleep just yet. It's like reading fan fiction in bed. The uncomfortable atmosphere continued even after those two left. It was thick with the idea that simply thinking about the culprit's identity would be the same as deciding whom to suspect. Also, I want to save, just to be safe, because it's been a while, so I need to save, in case it crashes or anything, because it would suck having to go through all of that again. It had begun to feel like discussion of the case of itself was itself taboo, so no one mentioned the case, at least out loud. However, those thoughts were what filled our minds. All that we couldn't say aloud made our heads feel like they were going to explode. So at least on the outside, the parlor had once regained its calm mood. Everything was left unsettled. It feels like the rain's gotten a little lighter.
Still pouring down. Ooh.
Even if it did stop, there's no boat on this island. But it'd be nice if the boat came quickly tomorrow. I've had enough of this Western Mansion vacation.
Mom, when will the boat come tomorrow? Normally, the boat to take them back will arrive at 3 o'clock today. They probably sent us a phone call to say that they will come after that typhoon pass. But unfortunately, the phones aren't working. But they aren't children over there. They were told to both drop off and collect our gifts. So they will most likely arrive first thing tomorrow morning. Probably about 9 o'clock, I believe.
It was completely black outside. When I looked at the clock, I realized that it was just past 7 o'clock. I was starting to get hungry. In the kitchen, Kumasawa was cooking enthusiastically. She had laid out a variety of dishes, and while they didn't match the level of Goda's artful cooking, they were still quite gorgeous. It was an act of kindness from Kumasawa, who was trying to enliven everyone's low spirits with some food. Kumasawa wasn't nearly as talented as a professional cook like Goda, but she was far from unskilled. On the contrary, since she had been brought up in a fishing village, the simple food she created was sometimes highly praised. Kanon arranged the food Kumasawa had finished creating on plates under her direction. Kanon also helped in the kitchen sometimes, but since he was really placed in that role, he was slightly awkward, even though he tried his best. Self-conscious about the fact that he couldn't cleverly arrange the food, Kanon's expressions darkened slightly. Mackerel! Yeah, you were telling me about the mackerel memes. Wow. My brain. Whee. The mackerel! Woo. I do feel, like I said, my eyes are like, wee, but then, like, my brain's like, no. But Kumasawa smiled as though everything was fine.
It's arranged beautifully. Kanon-kun, aren't you scared?
If it had been Shannon-ne-san, it would look even more beautiful. Kanon stopped arranging the food for a bit and hung his head. Shannon was the one who always assisted Kumasawa in her cooking. Tonight, Kanon was doing it instead. And as he remembered Shannon's face in her brutal end, he grimaced.
Forget that for now.
Genji spoke kindly to Kanon as he advanced a pawn. Nanju had escaped from the parlor once the mood had gone sour, and Genji had become his opponent in a game of chess upon Nanju's request. That feel when no ne-chan, that feel when. Yes, I will get it for now. Indeed, that is probably for the best. Genji purposely refrained from facing Kanon as he spoke. He did so because he understood that it might make things tougher on Kanon if he noticed that someone was looking at his eyes. Nanjo also understood that and held back any thoughtless words. I wonder where the Kinzo-san has gone. I hope that he's safe, but
I do not know. However, I believe everything has proceeded as the master has hoped and arranged for. To this chest that will exceed my role as furniture in service to the master.
Aren't you scared, Genji-san? I'm afraid that something bad will occur again tonight.
I have nothing to be afraid of. I serve the Ushirimiya family, and that is all.
Nanjo sighed through his nose and made a carefully considered move. Nanjo was very slightly dubious. Could Genji possibly be thinking that he'd be left out of this? He couldn't even imagine what was happening inside this mansion. But he definitely couldn't deny the possibility that Kinzo had devised something. I want to say, is ruining my love for the series. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Don't worry, I'm not offended. Because I mean, like, I totally, like, I will not lie. Because they're assholes. The voices are valid because they're assholes. I will say the voices do kind of ruin the mood. Like, because, like, earlier, when I was doing Natsuhi, like, I cried. It was so funny. I couldn't take a lot of some of the things seriously because of the voices I'm using, so. Don't hurt Natsuhi. I will try not to. She suffered the most. I could tell she definitely suffered the most. Poor baby. Leave my mofo alone. They seriously need to. They do. He couldn't even imagine what was happening inside this mansion, but he definitely couldn't deny the possibility that Kinzo had devised some blah 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 something. Sorry. If you liken this island to chess, Kinzo had opened the game, and as a result, 6 pieces had been defeated. Could it be that Genji was calm because he believed he alone was on the outside of the chessboard, and therefore safe? Nanjo thought about it. Isn't everyone just a piece on this chessboard, lined up equally without any exceptions? Wasn't even Genji, who had gained more of Kinzo's trust than anyone? No, who was confident in his position as Kinzo's only close friend. Just another one of those pieces laid out on the chessboard? As for how Jessica came out blonde, sus mom must be Beatrice. Oh, just saying. Wow. Jessica Trise, let's fucking go. Please. I said Trise. What? Jessica Tris. Man, I'm bad at reading. Maybe the blonde Gina Strong and Rudolph. It's possible. Genji-san, I'm truly frightened about the tonight. I hope with all of my heart that we will be safe when tomorrow morning comes. Oh, Trise. Britorice. So is it actually pronounced Beatrice? 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 Anyways, anyways, both of her babies came out blonde. Okay, interesting, Rub's chin. The guest room Ava and Hideyoshi moved into. Beatrice! Oh, Beatrice? 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 I don't know. I don't know, like, we're just going Beatrice here for a good, like, 5 minutes. Beatrice! Me trying to pronounce Beatrice. I'm just gonna leave it Beatrice for the English because I'm lazy. Gominasari. But if I ever get to, like, where, if I ever get to, what, Kinzo, Beatrice, I'll definitely do the Beatrice, for him. But I'll leave it Beatrice, in my English. I'm sorry. You guys can fight me. I'm sorry. The guest room Eva and Hideyoshi moved into had originally been built to house guests before the guest house construction. So, until a few years ago, they had stayed in these rooms every family conference and were very familiar with them. This room was just like a room at a hotel, with a bedroom and a bathroom. So even though they were still shut in, it was far more comfortable than the parlor.
Guess it's true you can relax more when you're alone with your family. Maybe it'd be better if everyone else also shut themselves in guest rooms and locked the doors.
Natsuhine-san said that no one could leave the parlor, throwing her weight around. I'm sure no one will be able to talk back. She's always been treated so coldly, so now that Nisan's dead, she's getting excited about finally having so much power. Seriously, how shameless can she be?
Come now, don't say that. Natsuhi's doing pretty well.
So who's dead right now? I'll show you who's dead. Jackie showed me the way. Bito, and Bito. Okay. Only first Twilight first game. Yeah, it's going to be the Italian pronunciation. So it explains why they pronounce her name like that in the audio. And also why Bito got her nickname. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, these guys are dead. So, Cross, Rudolph, Kairi, Rosa, Shannon, and Goda are the ones who are dead. Also, I just want to save for the sake of saving. Since I'm on the screen, I may as well.
No need to jump on her like that. And about the receipt earlier, you went too far.
Come on. If I hadn't said it there wouldn't be another good time to say it. Oh damn, I go the husband mixed her. That's who he married Cross. Rudolph is Badler's Poppy. Yeah, I'm still a little bit confused on the family, but I will find I will find a way. Ava, sulking cutely and looking at the television, also sat alongside Hideyoshi, who was lying on the bed. Yeah, I always tended to get the spouses mixed up a lot. It do be like that. Still, we haven't been alone like this for quite some time. You're right. Come to think of it, both you and I have gotten pretty old. Since George was born, everything was gone by the blink of an eye. It really has. I wonder if we were too hasty in having a child. Ava's eyes looked like they were staring off into the distance. Yes, she had thought of it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Too many fucking characters, I swear to God. It'll take some time, but I mean, I at least got their names. It's just the relationships I am slightly confused on, but I'm getting a little better at it since I'm reading. Since getting this far anyways. She had thought of it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Her older brother Cross had been unable to father a child for quite some time. 6 years passed after his marriage to Natsuhi without any signs of pregnancy, which didn't please Kinzo at all. Ava herself had thought that, since her name would be moved outside of the Ushiramiya register when she got married anyway, it didn't matter whether a successor to the headship was born or not. And then, one day, she had a heavenly revelation, or maybe it was the whispering of the devil that she had listened to in her greed. If she could give birth to a successor first, wouldn't she be able to remain in the Ushiramiya register? If things went well, might she have a chance to inherit the Ushiramiya family herself? When she proposed this to Hideyoshi, he had approved of it instantly. This wasn't because Hideyoshi had also had greedy thoughts. For Hideyoshi, who had no close relatives, it was a chance for him to feel once more the long-forgotten thing called family. So when they got married, he hadn't fussed over which last name they were to keep, and had quickly agreed to have his name entered into the Ushiramiya family register. It hadn't been easy to persuade Kinzo, but as his daughter, Ava knew Kinzo's personality well. So, by choosing the time when Kinzo was most dissatisfied with Natsuhi, she was magnificently able to make him accept Hideyoshi as an adopted son-in-law. Looking at Hideyoshi, who had achieved success, sorry, my throat. After starting from nothing, Kinzo might have seen a little bit of himself. He quickly grew to like Hideyoshi and approved his transfer to the Ushiramiya register. George would eventually become the successor to the Ushiramiya family. They had raised him strictly with that purpose in mind. He had been worth their while and had grown into a fabulous young man, who wouldn't disappoint no matter where he went. That was why he had not been permitted to fall in love with a servant like Shannon. So when she learned that Shannon was dead and the engagement was now invalid, though part of her had still been shocked by the gruesome crime, Part of her had also been relieved that her dear George wouldn't be stolen by some servant girl. Damn, Mom. Jeez. I haven't hated Cross Nissan since long ago. He was so full of himself, always swaggering around. So proud that he would one day become the head. Yeah, I know, right? I know. Throw his hands up. Let me drink some water. Since I'm like coughing. Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to get back at him. There we go. Was that just a childish emotion? But in the end, that emotion guided my entire life. If that had been all, then it would have been fine. But because of that emotion, I got you and George involved. I used you.
Ava, don't blame yourself for that.
Thank you, Jackie. You're gay. Hideyoshi got up and held Ava's shoulder. She could feel a warm understanding from him.
Well, I reached the halfway point in my life long ago. But you know, I have absolutely no regrets about how I've lived my life. Not one.
Or her. I don't know. Not one.
I think that's since we were too evil, I've been able to relish an enjoyable life with other men.
I fucked up the voices. It's so hard to tell. They need to put like names. Please. Like be like Witch's Heart and literally put the names so I know who's talking. I'm terrible at knowing who's talking.
Anyways, I've been able to relish an enjoyable life that other men never will. After I lost my relatives in the war, you reminded me what the warmth of family is. So I'm grateful to the Shidomiya family and think of it as my only one.
In this life I've led with you, not a single thing's been wasted.
It's really been a fun life up till today.
Unfortunately, I think even the PlayStation 3 mod doesn't fix this problem. RIP. RIP. They need to fix it. Thank you, darling. It had to do that. Ava hung her head, burying her face in Hideyoshi's chest. Probably no one in the parlor could even imagine that this side of Ava existed. I think they're gonna die. I bet they're gonna die, aren't they? They're gonna die. Hideyoshi, you fool. You're raising the death flags. I know, right? I'm just like, they're totally gonna die. This is the things you'd say when you die. Anyways, I'm the one who should be thanking you. Until today, there hasn't been a single day I've regretted being with you. Or, me too. I'm so glad to have you by my side. Don't know who's talking. George is already a fine adult. Even if I don't look out for him, he's a man who could do his job well on his own. I wonder, around New Year's, do you want to go spend some time in the Maldives? Just us, no one else. No way. Aren't you always saying that you're so busy responding to New Year's cards that you don't even sleep? None of that is sorry. My throat. None of that is this New Year's. I won't read New Year's cards. I'll just stay quiet and check to see if I've won the New Year's lottery. It sure be nice if we won a color TV this year. Okay, so I guess the no way is Ava. No way. I don't want to waste time checking the lottery while in the Maldives. I don't know what's pronounced.
Then none of that either. How does it sound? Just the two of us, taking it easy while we newlyweds just before George was born. Wait, I cannot read. George was born.
Yes. In that case, fine. I hear the Maldives are wonderful. An island with nothing on it, surrounded by beautiful coral reefs and cottages lined up over the water. Like when we were newlyweds, you say? Starting when? I don't know who's I don't know who's talking. They need to. Sorry if this is really close, but they need to put names because I don't know who's talking. Okay, anyways.
As soon as I finish my business, I will know to ask the travel agency, but probably before New Year's Eve.
No way. Right now? I want to go right now. Okay. Okay. Eva nagged at his lips in a peevish yet flirtatious manner. The only sounds that filled the room were the distant roar of the announcer and the news, which Hideyoshi had left on, and the obnoxious pounding of obnoxious pounding of Aesop and Victor against the window. But thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Ice cream, please! I think it'd be great! There was a knock on the door, and Genji-san entered. Eva Touloud, this is the Christian Minecraft server! Please!
Madam, dinner has been prepared. But you eating here again?
Yes, have it brought here. Is Dr. Nanjo still in the kitchen?
Yes. He has said he wishes to carefully deliberate over his next move. Do not worry, he is with the other servants.
Genji sounds good enough at chess to be grandfather's opponent. I hear he's even better than Dr. Nanjo, right?
That's right. Long ago he played against me, but he must have let me win. Maria, sounds like it'll be time to eat soon. But look at you. You've been watching TV all day long and you still haven't gotten bored.
I'm always watching TV, so I'm fine. Oh.
Maria-chan sure is a TV kid.
Food's coming, so we have to clean up the table.
Earlier, we had toured several pages out of Maria's notebook, and there was now a mess where everyone had been drawing together. Jessica began cleaning that up quickly. Still, everyone here really can draw. I'd never guess. Sorry. Excuse me. Gee, I wonder why Maria's such a TV kid. Glares at Rosa. That fuel-win. That neglect, man. That fuel-win.
Genji! Ask Eva-san and Hideyoshi-san whether they'd like to at least have dinner with us. Although they will probably turn us down.
Certainly.
First the father and now the Eva-san. It's quite hard to gather everyone to the Ishiriomi dinner table.
Natsumi felt her headache start throbbing again and lightly held her temples. Why? I'm sorry! I have to so they have variety. That way you guys will know who's talking. Please! No, judge me! The distance from the kitchen to the parlor wasn't that great, so Genji had gone and come back to himself. But the guest room was a little further away. Natsu had warned him to avoid being alone whenever possible, and just now Nanjo had also admonished him, saying it would be better if he held a little more concern for his safety. Kanon accompanied Genji, and the two of them went to visit Eva and Hideyoshi in their guest room. Genji knocked on the door.
Eva-sama, Hideyoshi-sama, dinner has been prepared.
He waited a short while for them to come out, but there was no response. Genji-sama, look at this. Kanon pointed under the door. A Western envelope had been inserted under it. Normally, when something was inserted this way, it'd be interpreted as a message from someone outside to someone in the room. So since this might be a private note meant for Eva and Hideyoshi, it was not something that Kanon and Genji were supposed to take interest in. But this Western envelope was one of Kinzo's, the same kind as the one Maria had taken out last night and surprised everyone with.
There can be no mistake. It is one of the master's envelopes.
Or could it be? Even though this was one of Kinzo's envelopes, the letter Maria read aloud the previous night hadn't come from Kinzo. Genji continued knocking a little harder and called out in a loud voice.
Eva-sama! Eva-sama! It is Genji! Are you there? Please answer, Eva-sama!
But there was no response from inside. Sometimes, when the servants went to call some of the guests for a meal, the guests would be sleeping so deeply that they wouldn't wake up. In times like that, the servants would stick a letter in the door to show that it was time to come out and leave the guests be. But despite that, Genji beat even harder on the door and called out Ava's name. However, there was no answer. Sorry, my throat. Reading for like a few hours, like, my throat's like, help me! Cannon stuck his ear up to the door, held his breath, and listened for any sounds coming from inside. I hear something that sounds like the television, but I don't sense anything. The room might be empty. Genji took out a handkerchief and careful not to touch it with his bare hands, gently pulled out the envelope that had been stuck under the door. It was sealed with deep red sealing wax. Without a doubt, the mark on the sealing wax had come from the Ushiro-miya family's head ring.
Eva-sama! Eva-sama! Please answer! Are you still in your room?
But there was still no answer. There was a chance that those two were aimlessly walking around the mansion. This was the home Eva had grown up in. There was plenty of reason to think that she had gone out on a casual stroll. Genji groped around his pocket and pulled out the bundle of keys which contained the key that would open the guest room. Genji-sama? Cannon also understood what this meant. They would sometimes unlock the door so they could go in and do things like make the beds, but only after they made sure the guests were out. To unlock the door for any other reason, and especially to do so when there was a chance the guests hadn't given permission and might still be in there, was an action unbecoming of a servant. But what if they're freaking? Ew. Anyways, but Genji had decided if the only problem had been that his knock hadn't received a reply, he wouldn't have gone this far. But the envelope under the door was doubtlessly one of Kinzo's, or rather, one of the western envelopes of the Ushiro-miya family head. After last night, the sender of this envelope could be someone other than Kinzo, if this letter had been sent by someone else.
Eva-sama! My apologies! Allow me to enter your room!
After giving that final notice, Genji stuck one of the keys from the bundle into the key. Why do I take that so lewdly? I don't know. I think it's because it's 12 in the morning. So I'm like, that's kind of gay, man. But he's just sticking a key into a keyhole, so it's not that gay. There was the sound of the door unlocking. And after slowly turning the knob, he slowly started opening the door. Light seeped through the crack of the door. Were they in the room? Or had they forgot to turn out the lights? Clank. It was the sound of the door chain being pulled tight. The chain had been secured. The chain couldn't be secured from the outside, so it was also proof that they were in the room. The sound of voices on the TV seeped out of the room. The lights, the chain, and the TV. All of these things made it clear that they were in the room, but there was no sign of them. Genji called to Eva once again through the crack of the door, but there was no answer. Genji-sama, what should we do? As part of the job, As part of their job, the servants were able to unlock almost any lock in the mansion, but they had no way to open a door with a chain. The only way to get by the chain was to cut it. That was certainly not permitted as part of the servants' usual work. A creepy chill had already rushed up their backs. Cannon held his breath again and tried to sense someone through the door, but even so, he was not able to sense anyone.
I will catch Madam and return. Cannon, cut the chain!
Yes. As Cannon hurried away to getting a cutting tool, Genji called him to a stop.
Wait, Cannon! Return to the kitchen and take Kumasawa with you. You must not act alone.
Yes, certainly. It looked like Cannon was wondering why he had to do something so troublesome in the middle of this urgent situation, but Genji had said it out of wariness. He didn't care what happened to himself, but in the worst case scenario, he didn't want anything to happen to Cannon. In the kitchen, Kumasawa was piling food on the serving cart, and Nanjo was waiting for Genji, apparently wanting to show him a move he'd finally thought up that might turn the tables on him. But Genji's appearance immediately told him that something was wrong. Ooh, sorry. Oh, what does happen to Genji-san?
Dr. Nanjo, my apologies, but please allow this match to be suspended for the time being. Cannon, take care of the chain. Kumasawa, stop setting up dinner for now and accompany Cannon. I will go over to Madam. If you would come with me, Dr. Nanjo.
Has something happened? Genji took Nanjo, who still didn't know what was going on, and quickly left the kitchen. Kumasawa-san, my apologies, but please come with me.
What has happened, Cannon-san?
Kumasawa said almost exactly the same thing as Nanjo, unable to take in the situation. and chased after Cannon, who had flown out into the hallway. Taking Kumasawa with him, Cannon went to a storage room and looked through the tools packed in toolboxes and hanging all over the walls, trying to find something that could be used to cut the chain.
What are you looking for? Let me help too.
We're cutting a door chain. Where was that large wire cutter?
A door chain? Why would you do something like that?
The chain to Eva-sama and Hideyoshi-sama's room. Even though they should be inside, they didn't answer when we called them. It's... Ooh! Maybe I need more water. Rubs chin. Drinks water. It took Kumasawa some time to figure out how cutting the chain and Eva and Hideyoshi not answering were connected, but she did realize that this was an urgent situation. It's a lot of reading. It do be.
That one will probably do the trick.
Cannon took down a very large... Okay, I don't know if that was him or Cannon, but okay. Cannon took away a very large wire cutter that had been hanging on the wall. It was called a cutter, but maybe it'd be easier to understand if we said it was shaped like a large pair of pliers. Cannon remembered once being warned that this dangerous tool could easily cut through one of your fingers. Don't say that! Now I imagined it. Cannon took that and rushed up the stairs. He already knew it instinctively. He should fight for every minute, every second to open it quickly. Or perhaps it was already...
Please wait, Cannon-san.
Hurry. Kumasawa eventually caught up with him, gasping for breath with both hands on her knees. She's old! She's old. Be nice to her. When Cannon changed his grip on the wire cutters and looked up at the door, he allowed an struck speechless. How could this happen to me? What is this? Eep. Oh.
What is this?
I just wanted to do that. Kumasawa screamed weakly, her face pallid. That was no surprise, because right there, on the door, is just like the magic circle that had been drawn on the shutter of the Rose Garden storehouse. There was another eerie shape drawn with a blood-like paint. However, it would be odd to call this one a magic circle, because unlike what most people would expect, it wasn't a circle with shapes drawn inside it, but a slightly more complicated geometrical shape. However, those strange characters filling in the gaps, which weren't from the alphabet, were the same kind as the ones on that magic circle on the shutter. But the thing that had Cannon struck speechless wasn't how eerie the magic circle was. It was that something like this hadn't been here a short while ago. First, he had taken a trip back to the kitchen. After that, he'd gone to the strange storage room. Oh, sorry, I said strange. He had gone to the storage room to grab a tool and headed right back. Put those together, and it couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. How could someone add something this creepy during that period of time? And as though it had just been drawn, almost like the door itself was bleeding, several unsettling vertical red lines slowly dripped down, getting longer and longer. She sounds like she's dying. Sorry, Kumasawa's knees gave way, and she sank down on the spot. If Kumasawa hadn't done this first, then Cannon surely would have wanted to. Beatrice-sama!
It's the work of Beatrice-sama! How horrid! How horrid!
Sorry if I sound like I'm dying. Cannon gulped, then readied the wire cutter and approached the door. He didn't want to get close to this disturbing magic circle, and he really didn't want to touch the steadily dripping substance that looked like blood. But if he didn't get close, he wouldn't be able to cut the chain. Fighting this cold feeling, he gulped again, and after gathering his courage, he went even closer, putting the wire cutter up against the chain. Do your chain hang low, does it wobble to the flow? Then he pressed it with all of his strength, managing to cut through the chain far more easily than he anticipated. The cut chain fell into 2 separate parts, which continued to clang as they swayed back and forth.
Canon-san, there is an envelope by your feet. And isn't that the master's?
It looked like Kumasawa had also noted the western envelope at the bottom of the door, and that the sealing wax had been sealed with the head's ring. Cannon hesitated for just a second over whether he should open the letter first or check inside the room, but he eventually decided on fulfilling his original purpose. Cannon pulled a handkerchief out of his pocket. This was so he wouldn't leave fingerprints on the door. If his worst fears were realized, the police would want to investigate this room too. He slowly pushed the door open. He was able to more clearly hear the sound of the television, which had been seeping out faintly this whole time. Eva-sama? Eva was laying face up on the bed with her shoes still on. Kumasawa, who had fearfully entered after Cannon, who was hiding behind his back, screamed a short "eek" again when she saw Eva like that. Eva's shoes had been the first part of her that Cannon had seen, so the oddness of wearing shoes in bed was the first thing to strike him. But when Eva's head shifted into his line of sight, Cannon couldn't help but let out a short scream like Kumasawa. Right in the middle of Eva's forehead, something had been placed? Something was growing there? No. Right in the center of her forehead was an old-fashioned knife? That, or some weapon like it was sticking out. Sephiroth! 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 Anyways, I'm sorry. I've been based over, it was stuck in. Blood dripped down, staining the sheets on the other side bright red. Sorry, I had to ruin the moment, okay? Yeah, sorry, Jackie. Kumasawa's knees gave away once more, and she sank down on the floor. Her mouth kept flapping open and closed, but she couldn't even scream. Eva was dead, with some kind of weapon sticking out of her forehead. Both eyes were open wide, and the image of the person who killed her must have been burned into them. But the only mouth capable of naming that person had been shut for all eternity. Even though her forehead was the last place they wanted to look, they couldn't tear their eyes away from it. Right there, the weapon was stuck into Eva's forehead, standing almost perfectly upright, and on the handle was a complicated design that you wouldn't expect to see on an ordinary weapon. That thing could be summed up with the word occult. It was a vulgar object with a design that might have been of some demon. Let me know if the music's too loud, by the way, because I'm a little worried if it's too loud, so if it's too loud, just let me know. What about Hideyoshi-sama? Hideyoshi-sama! Eva was on top of her bed, but the other bed was empty. Where was Hideyoshi? After taking a... Okay, music is fine? Okay, that's good. I'm glad to know. After taking a backwards glance at Kumasawa, still on her knees and stupefied, he checked the bathroom just in case. At the moment he opened the door, he was greeted by steam and the sound of the shower. The bathroom was of the same familiar style as most hotel bathrooms. When taking a shower, a waterproof curtain was used to keep water from flying out. The waterproof curtain was half open, and lying tumbled down in the bathtub was Hideyoshi, completely naked. Ew! He had to be naked! Ew! Let's murder mystery fantasy rave. Let's fucking go, please. But come on, we have to see him naked. Nasty, and pointing right at Cannon. Just like Eva, a weapon with a demon-like design was stuck into his forehead. Since his head had been under the shower's hot water this whole time, his face wasn't half covered and filthy with blood like Ava's had been. But the sight of him dead while still taking a shower was tragic enough. Yeah, it's kind of gross. We had to see his booty. Just then, listen, the song slapped so hard. I'm glad you like it. Just then, they heard Natsuhi's voice coming from the hall. She was probably coming with Genji.
I'm done with this graffiti! What about this letter? What does it say inside?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
Gets killed in the shower. Very rude of him to not pull on some jorts as he collapses. Some jorts. Beautiful. I know. I fucking know, right? Like, damn, no one wants to see his joke. I'm sorry, you guys. We had to see him naked. I'm sorry.
I haven't read it yet.
We shouldn't touch it carelessly. The culprit's fingerprints might have been left on it.
We should have handed over to the police. I don't know who's talking.
They were not know to leave it here. I'm sure they weren't have left fingerprints.
As Natsuhi said that, she picked up the envelope. And before checking its contents, she entered the room herself, where she found Ava dead. She'd be like, ha, bitch! I'm joking.
Ava-san!
Madam, Hideyoshi-sama is here too. Natsuhi thinks she's a first-person shooter. It technically kind of is. This is truly atrocious. Cannon, turn off the shower. Don't let this be any more pitiful than it needs to be. Yes, ma'am. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure who was talking. Cannon gripped his handkerchief and twisted the valve, turning off the shower. In the bathtub, a small jar of body soap had fallen with its cap off. It really looked like he'd been attacked while taking a shower. There was still a small splash of blood clinging to the white bathtub, and the combination of white and red made a horrible contrast.
Dr. Nando!
I understand. No signs of a post-mortem lividity. Rigor mortis hasn't begun either. It would seem that the hour or so had passed since they were killed. But even so, how a weapon with such a sort of handle could do their skull, I cannot imagine. Nanja checked their pulse and their pupils, making certain of their deaths once more. As Cannon watched this business-like treatment, he thought, couldn't you tell at a glance that they're dead without doing all that? God, does Natsuhi even know trigger discipline? I get so concerned whenever I see her with the gun. Like she's the only one with the gun, so big fear. Nanja thought about removing the weapon, but then decided it'd be better to preserve the scene and hand it over to the police, so he left it alone. But a close inspection of the base showed that it didn't have a blade. In fact, it was more conical than blade-shaped. He noticed that, rather than a knife, it was more like a short-handled spear, something with the shape better suited for thrusting than slicing. Some people might have likened it to a thick ice pick. Rather than a short spear. Ooh. Yeah, pretty wild that she's the only one with the gun. Wonder if that's a clue. Oh boy, oh geez, rubs hand. At any rate, after looking at this scene, no further words were needed to describe what sort of purpose what sort of terrible purpose such eerily designed weapons were originally made for, nor was it necessary to explain how they carried out their function. Natsuhi, hoping to escape the repulsive steam filling the bathroom as soon as she could, covered her mouth with a handkerchief and dashed from the room. Just viewing their gruesome bodies for an instant had been enough to burn the image into her eyes. If she looked any longer, that image would surely remain in her vision for all eternity. The rising urge to vomit was exactly the same feeling she'd had that morning at the gardening storehouse. For a while, Natsuhi couldn't help but stand with her back facing the guest room, fighting that sickness in her stomach.
Anyway, we can't let the children in. We can't let George Kun see the room. See the room with all haste.
Yes, we mustn't let them see. If George's son saw his parents in this brutal state.
But they could tell that those fiercely racing footsteps in the hallway belonged to George, even before he came dashing to the room. George and the other children had been waiting in the parlor. However, when they saw Genji speak to Natsuhi, when they saw her turn pale and fly out of the parlor, they felt a sense of foreboding. And when they saw a large group of people gathered around the guest room, they were sure of it.
Father! Mother!
What is this? Another magic circle?
Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi are safe, right? Hey, Cannon-kun! What's this all about? Fadla-sama. Cannon didn't have anything, Cannon didn't have to say anything. George's scream after he ran into their room told them everything they needed to know. Also, just want to say, Lynn is completely blind in the story at the moment, as a heads up. So anything... Oh, I should have put blind in the title. So let's go ahead and tease him for not knowing anything. Yes, you guys are more than welcome to tease me. Just definitely don't spoil anything for me.
Who did this? I'll kill you! I'll kill you! George Kun, hang in
Natsuki touched George's shoulder with her hand, but he violently shook her off. Let me give you a lecture on Umineko. Oh boy, oh jeez. Oh boy, he rubs hands. George fell over beside Ava and buried his face in the bed in front of his mother's face, wailing. Then he pounded on the bed with his fist over and over again.
George Nissan, hang in there. Badler?
Badler had his back against the wall of the hallway. The story that can be told in 1/4 college course. Yeah, honestly. Badler had his back against the wall of the hallway and was covering his eyes with his right hand and weeping without restraint. Vito is my daughter and I care. Though my version would literally be like 1,000 condensed over version. Okay, my version. Thank you, Pururu. Horrible. That's horrible. He proposed to the girl he loved and lost her the next day. And on the same day, even his mom and dad were killed. Isn't that too harsh? Of course it's sad whenever anyone dies, no matter who it is. But to Badler, those left alone by the deaths of others were far more worthy of pity. Everyone here now had lost someone close to them. George wasn't the only one to be pitied. However, George's pain was far greater than everyone else's. That feel win, George. Rip George. Ryukishi likes to reiterate points and ramble a lot. I know nothing about the bunny magic portion. I gave up on episode 6 like I couldn't care less. In episode 5 only know the bare bones. I see. I'm surprised considering episode 7 pretty much gave the answer sheet. Oh, okay.
Tatler. I know. Everyone dies sooner or later. If you're human, you'll eventually have to fight the sorrow of losing someone close to you. But still, shouldn't that be far in the future for me? Dies. And shouldn't those deaths visit him one at a time? Horrible. It's too horrible. That bastard! Doesn't he have even a speck of human sympathy in him? Sorry. Episode 5 and 6 was just a shit show. Oh boy, I'm excited. Was it because of a certain character or oh boy? Fear, you guys, fear.
Badler, don't cry.
Maria tried to comfort Badler in a mechanical sounding voice. Badler violently wiped his tears.
Yeah. Damn it. I won't cry anymore. Tears of regret. Tears of sadness. I won't shed them again. It's all useless. The witch has got me backed into a corner. I'm always on the defensive. And that's useless. It's all useless. I'll spin the chessboard around. That bastard probably thinks we'll be running scared like sheep until tomorrow before we try anything. But guess what? I'll spin it around. That bastard can't escape this island until tomorrow either. We won't be hiding away, pissing ourselves. That bastard will. I'll expose you. You'll see. By tomorrow. No, screw tomorrow. Tonight. Before tonight's over, I'll be gripping you by the collar.
Okay. Episode 6 and 5 were like, I don't need it at all. It was just to bring Bunny BS and nothing else. That's valid. Like, you can basically watch episode 1 to 4-ish and then jump to 7 and 8. Oh, okay. I feel like 5 and 6 were like, I mean, I'd like the Virgilla and all, but too many Beatles. Oh. Sorry, my throat. At any rate,
we rock this room and leave everything as it is till police come. No, objections, I take it.
As he announced it, as though she didn't care whether they agreed or not. If anyone had a right to object, it would have been George. But he looked as though he'd shed enough tears. George nodded slightly, still facing away from the others, and when he stood up, everyone else agreed too. Natsuki still hadn't opened that western envelope of the family head that she picked up. But now that they decided to leave this room, she decided to unseal it in the parlor, where everyone could watch. As soon as they walked out into the hallway to head back to the parlor, some of them immediately felt something out of place, or maybe sensed something strange. Oh, whoa, grabs Bulge.
Ooh.
Stinks? Did you notice it too, Maria? Seriously, what's that smell? It's awful.
When everyone sniffed the air, they did notice a horrible burnt smell drifting through the hallway, one that none of them had smelled until then.
I will go quickly to check the kitchen. I'm sure I turned the flame off.
After noticing a burnt smell, it was natural that Kumasawa, who had just been using the burner in the kitchen, suspected that her own slip-up had caused it. Kumasawa hastily dashed away.
Cannon, go with Kumasawa. Do not let her be alone.
Yes. It's the smell of bullshit! Oh boy! After nodding at Genji's order, Cannon followed after her. He wasn't running, but as he followed her, he tried to search for the cause of the smell in other directions as well.
Ew, stinks.
It truly... Sorry. Woo!
It truly is a stench that makes the nose wrinkle. However, that doesn't mean we could just open the window for ventilation.
Natsuya was reluctant to open the windows in a situation where self-defense was so important.
Let us run the fan. I do not believe there will be any need to open the windows.
Personally, I would be fine with episodes 5 and 6, though I wouldn't blame anyone wanting to skip since Bunny. I don't know what Bunny is, but I guess I will have to find out in the future. George Aniki, is it okay if I talk to you? If it's about finding the culprit, then I have no problems. It seemed that George had managed to climb out of the abyss of sorrow. All that filled his chest now was the quiet flame of hatred towards the culprit who had stolen the lives of the one he loved and his beloved parents. The chain for this room was set. From what I could tell by looking at it, I'm positive that it couldn't have been opened from the outside. In other words, this was a perfect closed room. That does seem to be the case. In the case of the Rose Garden storehouse, they might have sneaked the shutter's key out of the servant room, or maybe they had a duplicate key. I can imagine many ways they could have done it. But this chain is different. Among generally used. Oh man, my stomach is growling like right now. Holy crap. Wow. I guess I'm hungry. I mean, I haven't eaten since 4 o'clock, so that's probably why. Woo. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a quick snack. Actually, I have some Cheetos here. Let me go grab my hot Cheetos. Whoa. Cheetos! Well, looks like Peru's code word for spoilers. Oh! How about I do this for the, There we go. Oh no. Oh no. I'm eating. Let me eat really quick before I go back to reading. Cause it's been a while. Been a while. Please get a meal soon at least. I will probably after stream. Now I want Cheetos. Oh, I'm sorry. Our girl will eat in 6 hours, please. I mean, when the sun is up, probably though. Snacks can usually last me an entire day if I eat the entire bag anyways. Actually, half this bag can probably last me for a good 6 hours. I have Cheetos too. Oh yay, I'm glad. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. One part of having multiple Betos was a bit much. Like, I get what Kishi was doing, but what was getting at, but I guess I shall be expecting a lot of Beatos. Oh, can I just go? Beatos! There it is! Beatos! May as well. Oh boy. Wow, 12,000? What? No way. 12,000? Crazy. You could say they're endless. Oh boy. But I sadly don't understand. I don't understand. I don't really understand. I'm sorry. Why do you guys have like the inside jokes? I don't understand. I'm sad. It's okay. Just know that I carry every single one of them. Okay. Okay, Babu. Okay. Alright. Give crash course. I mean, from start to finish. But wouldn't that take a long time? Isn't it like Homestuck? If it helps, the endless joke is just because one of Beto's titles is the endless switch. Oh, okay. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I mean, that makes sense. Oh, okay. With like... Okay, okay. Alright, that's interesting to know. That sounds very long still, though. It just looks convoluted because it was written with layers, but yeah, oh, okay. Okay. Alright. Still not fully aware of a lot of things either. Getting a Beto, but episode 8 basically gives you the reality of the story. And the whole rest of the series is just like magic BS portion. Okay. I see. I'm happy to fill in gaps because I'm an enthusiast, lol. Okay. Thank you both. And in the end, your job as a person is to decide which you want to believe, the magic or the reality. Or a mixture of both. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it sounds interesting regardless. I gave you my version. Episode 8 of manga basically sums up everything. Okay. Like, just read episode 8 and you basically know the whole story. Oh boy. I mean... if anything, the manga version of episode 8 is probably the best version of it. Oh! Oh! Okay. Well, that's interesting. Wow. Alright, I think that's enough snacking. I mean, I'm still hungry, but at least then it won't make me, like, starving. So... eat. No. It's all good. I do want to get back into the story. But I also did want to end stream sometime soon as well. Because I did want to reach at least minimum 6 hours. But I'm really interested in it so far right now. So that's kind of why I'm like, I still want to read.
Woo. Only a chain will block everyone coming from the outside as long as it isn't physically broken. So does that mean the culprit couldn't have gone in or out through the door?
That's interesting. Just a few hours ago, I seem to remember everyone making a fuss over how to enter a room without using the door. I'm saying you're pretty close to the end, though. I don't know, I have the anime in my head, so it moved faster. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, once it reaches, like, a good spot, I was gonna save and then drop it. So, yeah. Back then, we were all losing our cool, wondering how grandfather had disappeared from his room. The receipt Aunt Ava stuck into the door... Excuse me, sorry. The receipt Aunt Ava stuck in the door on a whim proved that the door had remained sealed. And since Aunt Natsuhi was the only person to enter or exit during that time, she was also under suspicion. Aunt Eva proposed a theory about how Aunt Natsuhi might have thrown grandfather out the window and left the door by herself. But this door is much simpler. It was sealed from the inside by the door chain. The window had also been locked from the inside, and the bodies had been inside the room. This time, it really had been, without exaggeration, a true closed room. That's right. If you include grandfather's disappearance, 3 cases have occurred, and all 3 times the door had been the point of interest. Sorry. The first was the shutter. There was a key in the servant room, and we assumed someone knew about that. This can't really be called a closed room. The next was the door sealed by the receipt. However, Aunt Natsuhi entered that room. So if grandfather had left through the window or been thrown out, she would have been able to lock the window before escaping. Ooh, my pen's just whacking everything. Or like my theory, grandfather could have hidden until the receipt was gone and left the room later. Basically, this door can be defeated with a handful of desperate tricks. In that sense, you really can't call this one a closed room either. And now, we have the door sealed with the door chain. Finally, we have to give up. The window, the door, everything had been locked. It was a perfect closed room. The first hadn't been a closed room because everyone could be suspected. The second hadn't been a closed room because Aunt Natsuhi could be suspected. But this time, no one can be suspected. This was a perfect closed room because the door chain formed a seal that blocked everyone equally well. In that case, did the culprit carry out the crime without entering the room? With some method from outside the room? Good point. Even though the chain makes it impossible to open it wide enough for a person to fit through, you can open it a small crack. Did the culprit knock on the door to make them peer out before attacking them? Wait, am I missing something? Yeah, you are. If Aunt Ava's body had been lying right next to the door, then it might have been possible. But she was on the bed at the back of the room, and Uncle Hideyoshi was even in the bathroom. Looking from the crack in the door, you couldn't even see them. You couldn't even reach them with your hands either. Damn it, it's all useless. I don't have a clue. Something was tugging softly at my sleeve. It was Maria. I don't think so. It's only second twilight. This is also when the ball starts rolling and the murder train goes, oh boy. That's interesting. I'll keep that in mind.
Satisfied?
What do you mean, satisfied?
Badler, since you didn't want to suspect any of your relatives, you made a wish, saying you wanted the culprit to be Beatrice, right? Well, Beatrice granted that wish. Just as you asked, she did something that was completely impossible for a human to make you believe in the witch. And now you're complaining? How selfish.
Sorry. I tapped Maria, who was laughing unpleasantly on the head with my fist. Ouch. Sure, thanks for granting that wish. That just now was thank you, and also to teach her to stop laughing when it's inappropriate. More importantly, tell me, there was another mysterious scribble on the door to Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi's room. Was that another magic circle?
That one had a really memorable and characteristic design, so I hope you at least know what that was. Or what it was. What?
Itai.
I don't know, which is why I'm letting you take the credit. Stop! Well, I don't know how to do the laugh, please. Quit whining and explain.
You sure are violent, Battler. I won't tell you if you're too mean. Get it? Itai! Whoa, I'll say it. Stop hitting me. That's the first magic circle of the moon.
What does it mean? What is this magic circle's effect? What does the Hebrew writing mean?
The words are from the Old Testament, Psalms 107, verse 16, for he has broken gates of brass and cuts through bars of iron. This magic circle has two effects. First, it can open a door regardless of which method has been used to lock it.
That sure is convenient. So you're saying they're trying to make it look like they're a witch because this closed room has a door that can't be opened without relying on magic? And the other effect?
When you're blocked by unopenable doors in all directions, it opens a door. By using it in a difficult situation, it gives you a solution that you hadn't even thought of until then. Generally speaking, you receive the powers of observation and discernment, inspiration, and intuition. Beatrice is trying to provoke you since there's no way lowly humans like Battler could figure out how this door was opened.
Ouch. Okay, good work, so shut up. Sounds great. I'll accept this challenge from the witch. Maria-chan, things like witches and demons don't exist in this world. Someone killed father and mother. I don't know whether that was someone I know or not, but either way, it was definitely a human. Yeah, but how? How did they reach those two through the crack in the door? It couldn't have been more than 10 centimeters wide.
At any rate, I can hardly stand the stench. What in the world could it be?
Kanon and Kumasawa, who had gone on ahead, realized the smell wasn't coming from the kitchen, even before they arrived there. This was because they noticed an even thicker wave of stench rising up from the stairs leading to the basement, which they passed on their way to the kitchen. The boiler room.
I wonder if there's something wrong with the boiler again.
Those stairs led to the underground boiler room. The mansion's boiler was old and in poor condition. Both of them had witnessed problems with the boiler on several occasions, but they had never smelled the boiler belching out a stench like this before. McSlam. What was that sound? The thing they heard from the basement was definitely the sound of a door closing. Kumasawa had phrased it as a question, but she already knew it couldn't be anything else. Yeah, well, I didn't know it was Kumasawa, so they need to make it better. Kumasawa was so surprised at the sound that her knees gave way yet again and she cowered. After all, at that very moment, no one could have been in the boiler room. Just a few seconds ago, everyone had been crowded together around Avon Hideyoshi's room. So who caused the sound of a door closing just now?
Kanon-san!
After taking a second to sort out the situation, Kanon ran down towards the basement. Since they heard the sound of a door closing just now, and there was no sign of anyone coming up the stairs, the person who closed the door had to be inside the boiler room now. If the boiler room had been a dead end, Kanon wouldn't have rushed in so hastily. But Kanon was a servant, so he knew. There were two entrances to the boiler room, one that opened to the mansion and the one that opened to the courtyard. Woo, I'm having like Jessica coughing right now, but like sorry. Oh, I realized I still have my Be Right Back. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. sorry. Wow. Gomen. Okay, if he didn't chase them now, they might slip away. Kumasawa reached the same conclusion long after Kanon did, but she couldn't let him go alone. If the thing in the boiler room was the culprit, an opponent who had easily killed 6 adults in the first murder, then no matter how Kanon confronted them, he wouldn't be a match. Of course, with this argument, even if Kumasawa joined him, it wouldn't change anything. At any rate, after a delay, Kumasawa decided that she mustn't let Kanon go alone, and she rushed down the stairs.
Thank you, Jackie.
At that time, Kanon was already in the boiler room. The boiler room's characteristic damp heat tormented him. It had always been an unpleasantly smelly and hot place. And on top of that, the room was full of that horrible stench, which made Kanon feel like he was going to be sick. There was no doubt that this room was the source. In that case, Kanon should have been searching for where the smell was coming from. However, Kanon kept gazing straight forward as he grabbed a hatchet from a tool shelf just off to the side of the door. Please don't kill... Okay, please don't fucking accidentally kill... Please don't accidentally kill Kumasawa, because I will feel very upsetty if he accidentally kills her. I just get a bad feeling. I don't know. I'm scared. Nigi-kun, I'm scared. He wanted to grab a weapon, any weapon. Why? Kanon gazed into the darkness where the naked light bulb couldn't pierce. Then he answered. In roulette, you bet on a number or the colors red or black, vying for a payoff. However, low-risk bets like black and red only offer similarly low payoff. The words coming from Kanon's mouth were swallowed up by the darkness. That darkness suddenly started to swirl, glittering. As long as you don't kill the old lady, okay? If you kill the old lady, I will be so sad. Shabba-dabba-dabba-ba. Oh, I had to make some music. It was such a fantastical scene. Golden sparkling butterflies that hid in the shadows all over the boiler room flapped their wings, twinkling beautifully, and gathered in the darkness, disappearing. Cannon continued speaking, directing his words at the darkness as it swallowed the butterflies up. But as the butterfly gathers into the darkness, they probably know, they would certainly laugh. But Cannon continued to speak without faltering in the slightest. However, if you bet on something with a lower probability, your payoff increases proportional to the risk. The master called succeeding despite an astronomical risk a miracle, and called the astronomical payoff gained as a result magic. I have no interest in what kind of magic you and the master were seeking when you spun that relay, but you forgot something. You forgot that in relay there's a pocket that's neither black nor red. Relay has a special pocket called 0, which means that the house takes everything in certain variants of the game. This means that all of the coins bet on the table will be swept up just as though everyone has forfeit. I set my heart on just one thing. I decided that if Shannon were to be killed and I was left alive, I'd sacrifice this life of mine and bring this relay of yours to ruin. This isn't one of the master's rules, and it certainly isn't one of yours. I made this rule myself. I'm not furniture anymore. I'm not the 0 on your relay. Cannon's face twisted with humiliation. It was clear that his defiance against his own weaknesses was being ridiculed somehow. Cannon's brow creased even further, and a fierce expression that he'd never shown to anyone appeared on his face. Then, the hand grasping the hatchet was shaking. His sweat became drops, which slid downward. It was clear that the emotion causing Cannon's head to shake wasn't just anger. However, Cannon suppressed that emotion. I won't let your words lead me astray again. This is where the demon's relay ends. Wait another 1,000 years in hell for your next summoner. Bitorija! When Cannon raised the hatchet and tried to dive into the darkness definitely sneered. It sneered at the courage as if it was vulgar, lazy, futile, and meaningless. God! I don't get good feelings! I don't get points knife. Points knife. At cat. Points knife at cat. Cannon, his hatchet still held aloft, couldn't take another step after that. With a clang, the hatchet that he had been grasping fell and rolled on the floor. And following that, with a pair of thuds, Cannon's knees hit left then right. That hand, which looked like it was trying to catch the sky now that the hatchet had been dropped, gradually lowered, landing on his chest. Then the other hand did the same. No. Oh no. Right there was a handle with a demonic design engraved in it. As Cannon looked down at his chest, the same type of weapon that had been stabbed into Ivan Hideyoshi's foreheads was... Okay, so Cannon McDied. Cannon was curled up in anguish, fresh blood dribbling from the corner of his mouth. It was makeup too extreme for Cannon's white skin. Okay, well, at least the old lady... Okay, at least the old lady didn't get, like... At least he didn't kill the old lady. Anyways, it was makeup too extreme for Cannon's white skin. Around this scene, the glittering gold butterflies danced through the darkness, mesmerizing. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful dance, a funeral march of tribute, ridicule, and contempt for a single boy's self-sacrifice. Cannon had already been prepared for his own death, but although he could do nothing but accept the death he had received, he attempted one last measure of resistance. He grasped the handle of the weapon sticking into his chest with both of his hands, and gritting his teeth with an acute, unearthly pain. He pulled it out. God, if you hurt the old lady! For only a moment, a bright red spray gushed out. It made an unpleasant bloop sound. It probably resembled the sound of Cannon's soul as it was sucked into the swamp of the dead. Get out of my swamp! Somebody once told me,
Cannon, son! Someone!
Kumasawa screamed at the incomparable sight in front of her. Cannon was lying in a pool of blood. Kumasawa's heart was a complete mess. What a horrible fate. He wouldn't have been killed if I had been... Oh. Oh.
Already here, my friend. You would have been killed if I had been with him.
Okay. I don't know. What incredible. Oh my god! Oh.
What incredible luck. If I had been with him, I might have been killed too.
As she screamed, her expression was filled with complete confusion, and all of the muscles of her face were pulled up, almost as though she was smiling while crying. But no one could have made fun of an expression like this. What is it, Kumasawa? Answer me, Kumasawa. The first one to dash in was Natsuki. Okay, I wasn't sure who was talking, so holding the rifle. Badler and Genji dashed in after her. Normally, they probably would have started discussing the origin of that violent stench filling the boiler room. But after they saw Cannon, who was lying on the ground as if he were drowning in an ocean of his own blood, the stench wasn't important anymore. Cannon, answer me. Genji, bring Dr. Nanjo here. Natsuki realized that even though Cannon was on the verge of death, he was still conscious, so she sent Genji to get the doctor. Natsuki, holding the rifle aloft, faced the darkness in the center of the boiler room and shouted,
Who is hiding over there? Come out quietly! If you don't come out there, I will shoot you without mercy!
We need light! Aunt Natsuki, let's light them up! Badler, thinking quickly, took a large flashlight from the tool shelf alongside the door and used its light to cut through the darkness Natsuki was glaring into. But the light only shone on mechanical-looking piping and a door. The door had been left open a small crack, and it was obvious that someone had left through there in a hurry. Natsuki, where does that door go?
Genji! What does that door lead to?
To the courtyard.
Like how I let you get away, you damn bastard! Yeah. Rao let a war cry as he slammed into the door. Cool air from outside suddenly rushed in. There were some thin, rough stairs leading up. Badler ran up them, shouting, Wait, Badler-kun! It's dangerous to be on your own right now! Natsu was also rushing up the stairs, chasing after Badler. They were in the courtyard. The courtyard of the mansion had been built strictly for lighting purposes, so it wasn't a very elegant place. Because it was surrounded on all sides, the air was calm and completely undisturbed, even though they could hear the sound of strong winds. There was only the gentle, sorrowful rain. As he ran through the cold and scattered raindrops, dashing up the stairs into the courtyard, Badler looked in every direction. Of course, the odds of him finding a suspicious silhouette just standing around nonchalantly were pretty much zero. Badler spun, looking all around. He turned again and again. He kept spinning until he almost lost a sense of direction. He prayed that he would see the culprit somewhere in the scenery. But there was no chance. All he saw as he spun was more and more of the mansion's heartless walls and windows. Furthermore, there were 2 entrances into the mansion from the courtyard, and neither of them were locked. Because the courtyard couldn't be entered from outside the mansion, the doors had been built without locks. He didn't know which one they had left through. He had to give up. Badler pounded the wall with his fist, swearing,
Badler-kun! You must have run ahead by yourself! Badler-kun?
Badler pressed his forehead against the wall, which he scratched at with his fingernails as he cried. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi! And now Cannon! You killed a full 6 people! And that wasn't enough! So you had to kill 3 more! Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi were always kind and fun. I just met Cannon yesterday, but I'm sure I'd have gotten along fine with him. I just met this guy yesterday, but I think we would totally been chill, bro. I just think that's kind of funny to say, sorry. I just think it's kind of funny. I don't know why. But I think that's somewhat funny. Why did you kill them? Why? Why? You know, when people die, they don't come back to life again, right? They are gonna quickly sprout up again like bamboo shoots. Why'd you kill them? Why? Why? Badler was a boy who could understand the feelings of pain and regret in a person's heart. So he cried, with all his strength. Natsuhi, who had always thought of Badler as a frank person, was a little surprised to find he had this delicate side. And at the same time, she understood how easily hurt the heart of a young person could be, so she held him.
It's alright. I will definitely protect you, George Kung, Maria Chung, and Jessica. As a mother and as a representative of the Shinomiya family.
Yeah. Ah! Battler, after sobbing into Natsuhi's chest for a while, wiped his tears with a bitter smile as though he had been like that the whole time and tried to appear as though he'd cried more than enough already. Anyway, let's go back for now.
Protecting ourselves is a higher priority than fighting the culprit. I think that's her. Tomorrow the boat will arrive. After that happens, the police will come and everything shall be brought to light.
Crying inside. Mood.
There's no way the culprit can escape this land, no matter how much they struggle.
I don't know if that's him. That's right. When the police come, when the seagulls cry, the crime will be solved. But for some reason, Battler felt a slight sense of uneasiness, as if the seagulls would never cry again. That couldn't be true. When the typhoon passes, surely the lively seagulls will return to the harbor again. I returned to the boiler room along with Aunt Natsuhi and told everyone weekly that we hadn't found anything. I just want to save really quick because, what if the game crashes? Yeah, don't want the game to crash. You never know when it'll happen. Oh, whoa. We heard that Dr. Nanjo and George Aniki had carried Kanen-kun to the servant room. The servant room had a first aid kit and a sink and could apparently function as a nurse's office. Kumasawa-san and Jessica had accompanied them. Stains from Kanen-kun's blood remained on the floor. Judging by the large amount of blood lost and the ruthless shape of the weapon that had fallen carelessly to the ground, I figured that Dr. Nanjo's treatment would probably end in vain. That weapon was doubtlessly the same type that had been struck at Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi's foreheads. But wait, isn't that the demonic design on the handle a little different? There seemed to be I'm sorry. There seemed to be some small differences in that part. Still, as far as the overall shape was concerned, the weapons were all of the same type. Though it had seemed brutal, we'd left the weapons stuck into Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi to preserve the crime scene, so this was the first time we were able to have a perfect view of the entire weapon. As we had expected, the weapon was not bladed like a knife, but shaped like an ice pick, or rather a thin stake, and it had a spiral-shaped pattern, sort of like a drill. It looked like something that might be driven into the hearts of human sacrifices in some demonic ritual. Including the handle, it was 25 centimeters long. Half of that was the stake-shaped part, which was stained with deep red blood. The length of the blood-stained part made it clear just how deeply it must have penetrated into Kanen-kun's chest. But Aunt Natsuhi and the rest didn't even look at the weapon and instead stood in front of the incinerator where the horrible stench was emanating from. They must have dragged out that thing which had been burning in the furnace. It was still smoldering and kept sending out dense waves of that awfully unpleasant smell. Genji-san and Maria stared down at it. Aunt Natsuhi probably couldn't stand to look directly at it. She kept shaking her head, her back to it.
Ugh.
I thought nothing could surprise me after everything that's happened, but this is... I stood there for a while, moaning with the rising urge to vomit. The true source of that unearthly stench was a scorched corpse that had been cooking inside the incinerator. The clothes, the surface of the body, and the hair were all hideously burned. That grotesque corpse was in a state where not the face, nor the age, nor even the gender could be guessed at. But when I thought about it calmly, I realized that a corpse appearing at this time could only be one person. It was grandfather, who had disappeared that morning, and whose whereabouts had been unknown.
I believe it is most likely the master.
I agree. That he would pass away in such a state is a heart-rending.
But is there any proof that this corpse really is grandfather? It's burnt so black you can't even tell what sex it is.
Bad luck. Look at the feet.
At Natsuhi, with her handkerchief over her mouth and her eyes averted, pointed out and told me to look at the burnt corpse's feet. Huh?
Notice how there is 6 toes on each foot.
Huh? You're right. Just as Genji-san had said, there were 6 toes on each foot. Each individual toe had looked so normal in its line that I hadn't noticed.
The master was born with 6 toes on both of his
What? Okay, well, interesting.
feet. Consequently, the master was entrusted with the revival of the Shiromiya family.
Yeah, I have heard that since long ago. Cases of polydactyl were common in the Oshiromiya family. Probably hereditary. Wow. 6 toes. Polydactyly literally means many fingers. Because of a little mistake by God, when the person is born, one of their toes or fingers splits into 2. And the total number increases. But a big deal isn't usually made of polydactyl in the world at large. That's because it isn't a disease, just something people are born with. So while they're still babies, at about the time they turn 1 year old, they can be taken to the hospital and given surgery to make them normal. Even a child with polydactyly can be treated before they become aware, so they might not even remember it themselves. By the way, it seems that there's a possibility for this to occur in one out of every 2,000 babies, so even though it's not usually seen, it isn't that rare at all. Speaking of which, I think Uncle Hideyoshi mentioned something to me long ago. Something about how even Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the man who unified Japan at the end of the Sengoku period, had 6 fingers on one hand. According to Aunt Natsu, among the many Ushiromiya family heads, the ones most praised for their wisdom all had polydactyly. Because of that, when grandfather was born, his relatives were all excited at the thought that he might become another wise leader. And when the leading relatives all died in the Great Kanto earthquake, it was apparently argued that grandfather should be the one to restore the family because of the auspicious sign of his birth. If grandfather hadn't disliked his position as the head so much, the 6th toe probably would have been pretty lucky for him. Come to think of it, I've heard about some country where it's believed people with polydactyly should be treated as gods and revered. I think it was in India. This is beside the point, but it's fairly common in mystery novels for a corpse to be burned to hide its identity. But I guess that in grandfather's case, just toasting him wouldn't be enough. And grandfather's body was not simply burnt. It was just like Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi. The thing that had been stabbed into Kanin-kun's chest. One of those demon's ice picks was stuck into his forehead. The head's ring is
not on his finger.
So the little at night was telling the truth.
Father would probably be horribly disappointed.
Natsu-san let her head droop and closed her eyes tightly. This room had also become a vital crime scene for us to hand over to the police. It was decided that we would leave grandfather's corpse here and lock the room, sealing it. It isn't clear when grandfather's corpse started burning in the incinerator, since according to Genji, the strength of the flames hadn't been that strong. The body must have started burning a long time ago. So that stench could slowly creep out of the furnace and fill the room bit by bit, eventually pouring out and climbing up the staircase. Putting aside whether he was rare or well done. Oh, come on! You're putting those jokes, come on! Grandfather had been brought out, killed, and burned, even though he had started out locked away in the closed room created by his auto lock. There's probably no doubting this. However, according to Genji-san, the boiler room is usually locked. The possibility that someone outside our group had snuck in and committed the crime was overwhelmingly high, and there was also a good chance that this person was walking around with something like a master key. After all, the doors and the windows throughout the mansion had been checked. But despite that, the culprit was able to strut around the mansion freely. Does this crime confirm that a 19th person exists? There's still that contradiction, since they're trying to tout their existence without ever showing themselves once. Along with Kairi-san's chessboard theory, I've been using this contradiction to deny the existence of a 19th person. By spinning the chessboard around once more, the very fact that this crime makes it perfectly obvious that a 19th person exists means that the existence of the 19th person is even less plausible. As long as that 19th person doesn't show themselves in front of us. If the culprit could get grandfather out through the door sealed by the receipt, if they could kill Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi from the other side of a door sealed by a chain, then could they possibly go so far as to create a fictional 19th person through strange tricks and devices? If we still want to believe that the culprit is among the 18, then the list of suspects has grown very short. Very sussy. The 4 of us kids, Aunt Natsuhi, Genji-san, Kumasawa Bachan, and Dr. Nanjo. One of these people has to be the culprit. Wait, we can't be sure of that. Just a second ago, we started doubting whether the corpse here was actually grandfather's, right? maybe we can think of other bodies in the same way. For example, the first 6 all had their faces horribly smashed. Some of the bodies had kept enough of their faces for us to confirm who they were, but that old bastard, for example, had lost his entire face, as though the whole thing had been neatly peeled off. We only figured out which body was which by their clothes and surroundings. Did the culprit prepare a fake body beforehand and alter it to make it look like they died, even though they were actually hiding somewhere after committing the crime? It may sound ridiculous, but it wouldn't be an impossible trick to pull off. Sorry. It's too early to give in to this 19th person. No, this witch. Sleepy, go man. If you're sleepy, go rest. Wah. I'm actually kind of sleepy myself. So I know I should sleep soon. I'm just kind of waiting for it to end at a good spot. So if you want to go to sleep, definitely go sleep, Jackie. Wah.
Maria-chan, you mustn't stare so fixedly anymore. Come on, bad look on you too. I'm worried about Kenlen's condition and we must remain a place like this any longer than necessary. Let us return.
Maria didn't go out with everyone else, but remained in the boiler room. The thing she was staring so fixedly at probably wasn't grandfather's body, but the demon's ice pick sticking out of his forehead. It was probably the sort of item that an enthusiast couldn't bear to ignore. I tapped her on the head. Hey Maria, what's Beatrice after? Is it all of our lives?
Beatrice will revive very soon. At that time, none shall be left alive.
How can you laugh at something like that? Do you think you're the only one who's safe? Why don't you feel like you're in danger? Why aren't you scared?
Beatrice made a promise. She said she's gonna take me to the Golden Land. It's a wonderful place where you have no obligations. Everyone's always together, and everyone is always nice to everyone else. I'm looking forward to it. That time will come very soon now.
Just what kind of person is Maria? I only know what Maria was like 6 years ago, when she was 3. She was once pure and obedient, a good kid. The new Maria 6 years later and the Maria I knew didn't seem to fit together. Just who is she? This witch who calls herself Maria. To Maria, who obstinately believes in the witch, this series of unsolvable crimes is proof that the witch actually exists. Every time something occurs that would be difficult for a human, it becomes a little harder for the rest of us not to believe in Beatrice. It must be an intense pleasure for Maria to see her relatives, who once firmly denied the witch's existence, start acknowledging that witch's existence one by one. Is that why she's in high spirits? Maria, let me ask this one more time. You'll probably answer this the same anyway, but I'll ask just once more. Yesterday, you were given a letter in the rose garden. Who gave it to you?
Oh, like I said, Beatrice. Father still doesn't believe. Oh.
Maria only repeated what she had already said. Maria met with the 19th person, the witch. Was that really a 19th person? Or did one of the 18 just get her to say that? All that's certain is that Maria has been with the rest of us constantly, has always had an alibi, and hasn't done anything suspicious. She's simply overjoyed at being made Beatrice's messenger, and certainly isn't the 19th person. Supposedly. That's right. I wonder what's written in the letter we picked up at Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi's room. Aunt Natsuhi should still have it with her. Yay! Okay. Woo! We'll just leave it here. Wah, wah, wah. 8 o'clock. Wah, wah, wah. Wow. That was pretty cool though. So we'll go ahead and save. Wow, lots of people just dying. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining me today. I wasn't expecting people to join me today, but you guys did, so yay! Thank you guys for joining. rubs my chin. I don't know if I want us to really raid anybody, because we're all kind of sleepy too, aren't we? So we wouldn't even be able to stay very long. So, well, regardless, I'm still gonna take us to Purin Nadi. Purin Nadi is very nice. So I didn't I arted a little bit, but it wasn't very much. So I'm just gonna make us raid Purin Nadi. But you guys don't really have to like say hi or anything. But if you want to, you can. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Wow. Wow. Hopefully, maybe I can probably do a little more sometime in the future or sometime soon. I don't know if I want to do it tomorrow, but definitely sometime soon. My throat be hurting. But yes. Thank you guys for coming. I'll do some more art tomorrow. Maybe I might finally go back and work on my webtoon again. But we'll see what I'm up for tomorrow. So I'm sorry for all the trouble. But thank you guys again for joining me. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, Pururu. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for that one guy that popped in. I know somebody popped in. I didn't really check their name. But for that one person that popped in, thank you for popping in. And thank you for anybody that may have been lurking. So, have a great day. Yes.